Hello everybody, welcome back to Wampleville, and welcome back to Armada Mondays, because we've got some of the Trident Realm stuff. So this is the new stuff from Mantic Miniatures, and March is the big, I guess that's the big release for, hey there Armored Wolf, yes, the Trident Realm fleet. And I have all of the, well, ships or whatever, we've got a bunch of things prepped. I also have the anglerfish dude all set and ready to go. We got the giant turtle here as well. And then I've got some of the other ones that I'm still working on, like the whale and these the smaller ships right here. Hey, Landrest and Crazy Wolf. Now this, unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to upload this, but I do believe this is all rendered now. So this is Landrest. This is what I was trying to film last night. Wasn't easy. I have to say that the resin stuff was a total failure. Using the clear resin, yeah, that doesn't work at all. So that's not, you won't be seeing that anymore. Hey, Sealder, how you doing? Sealder, let's see. Well, it's not quite, but maybe. Well, we will pass this off as a Sealder right here. So for a Sealder, we'll say this. This is going to represent you for now until I can get the. So there's some other sculpts that Diwali has. Once we can get those printed up and ready to go, then we'll paint ourselves up maybe something a little bit more official, Isildur-wise. Yeah, Landrest, it was hideous. That flashlight was not strong enough. It would basically do the outer coating of it, but it wouldn't get all the way down, so you couldn't use it for a significant pour. And then I was trying to do like the drips and stuff. All it was doing was quite literally sealing it. Yeah, it's you can still see it on the end of this brush here. It's all just kind of sealed on the end there. So yeah, that just did not work out at all. Let's get down to some. Yeah, let's get down to some some pre-glaze here. Oh, what are we gonna use? What will we just use this right here? Why don't we use this? Maybe we'll throw the water effects watercolor on there first. Get a little bit of a Prussian blue, a little bit of indigo here, and we'll kind of take a bit of a dry brushy approach to this. So, Crazy Wolf, great to see you back again, and of course, thanks Armored Wolf as always for being here. Appreciate that. Yeah, that was Landrast. That did not work at all. You'll hear it right away. I was not pleased at all with how that worked out. That's for sure. That's maybe a little bit too much of the thinner there. Whatever, no big deal. Mostly again Prussian blue. Oh yeah, that's supposed to be. I think those are supposed to be waves, water, whatever. We'll just go with that. And we've got some sponges here somewhere. You can see that Prussian blue. That's a staining color, right? It's nothing to sneeze at. Actually, I think that's supposed to also be water there too. Hey, Uber Yeti, nice to see ya. The Uber Yeti, I wish you all the best there. Hopefully, no TPKs or anything like that, of course. But I hope that it's a fun game, and hopefully you get some levels of experience out of it too. Now I think what we'll do is we're gonna do some naphthol and some little bit of the maybe. Don't usually use a filbert brush for this, but grab me some Egyptian violet here and some of the naphthol. And let's get going down here with, again, some of our pre-glaze. Might throw a little bit of thinner on that, maybe. Just a little bit here. Yeah, go with something like that. I'm just gonna have to shove this brush down in here. Just get some paint down there. Best I can do. Yeah, let's do the same here. Now, of course, I was using those those new paints from, was it from Broken Anvil? They're okay. I mean, as far as acrylic paints go, and actually, Landrast, one of the things that they said in their literature about those is that they were sort of meant to be. Uh, oh, you could use them like contrast paints if you wanted it to, and it seemed to work out that way. They were pretty solid as far as even when they had a lot of liquid in them. So that was good. I was glad to see that. Let me see something. I'm gonna try and get to my reference here. Uh, there it is. That's better. So I think we're all caught up. Yes, I think we are. Again, a little bit of the Egyptian violet, some of the naphthol here too, and then we'll wipe some of this away. Hey, Monster Den Minis, how you doing? If everybody could please give Monster Den Minis a follow. And Monster Den, if you want to share any of your links or anything like that in the chat there, that'd be spectacular. Hopefully everything goes well. Does this... okay, so that does continue to about... Alright, I see how that's going to go. So great to see you again, Monster Den. I hope that your Monday was good. I hope that everybody had a decent Monday. I know that Mondays are not always necessarily glorious, that's for sure. Okay, I won't be too surprised if I had to throw some more naphthol out there. Hey, Lord Goober, how you doing? So, Lord Goober, how many different fleets did you end up with? Actually, I have a few dwarf ships. I don't know if I have enough. Well, I suppose I could have a fleet, but it would be a very limited one. That's, I think, of all of the factions, the dwarves are the ones I have the least ships for. I think I've got a couple of boxes. Yeah, nothing that would really create a big variety. Also, you have the Basileans and the dwarves. Everybody, let's welcome in. Blades. Blades, how you doing? So Blades, I guess Cooper's still getting used to the the new collar. Thanks so much, Bithron. It's been 9 months. So yeah, Lord Goober. As I actually have the entire fleet. I've got this. I've got the turtle. Got the small guys. Got the big whale. Have all of those. We're gonna try and get those together. Hey, Mrs. Anzabal, how you doing? Nice to see you as well. I'm glad that he's moving around a lot more. And Lord Goober, the other thing I've been doing is painting some of the halflings. So we've done the harvester. We did the whatever the big machine thing is. I've been painting some doggies right here. So yeah, doing that stuff. Thank you so much, 491 Phantom. I appreciate the follow. So does Ganef. He's like, so seriously, you're living on Numenor, and you're going to be sailing around that island, and you see something like this. You pretty much just say, you know what? Island looks pretty good to me. Not so sure about this whole sailing west thing, because those other ships were small. This one looks like it wants to eat me. And Gandalf is referring to, hey, Greenleaf Terrain Studio, how are you doing? So here's some of the previous fleets. We don't actually have a huge fleet of Twilight Kin. It's not too bad. Not too bad. We also have our fleet of Northern Alliance that we did. So glad that they stopped putting designs on the sails, that's for sure. So thank you so much, Phantom. Appreciate that. Green Fairy Studios, I hope that you're or Greenleaf Terrain Studios, sorry. Actually, we make terrain once in a while, don't we, Greenleaf? Every so often. And of course, it's pretty vital. Well, actually, I want to make terrain for Armada as well. So here's some of our, where's our, well, actually, gotta make some more of these buildings too. Now, I did make a bigger one of those, but of course, there's all of our Rohan stuff. Look, there's some of our Easterling terrain. There's our Rohan Watchtower, the windmill, the archery range. Yes, indeed. And where's our, there's our building there again, made of just pink foam and such. So I'm still waiting on the files. Whoops, wait a minute, there we go. Bisran from, gosh, of course I've already forgotten. I just was about to say who they were, but I haven't gotten the files from them yet. Alright, so everybody again, please give Blades a follow. And of course, Blades, if you want to post any pictures of any stuff that you've been working on in the chat, please go ahead and do so. Hey, Nurgle Matthew, nice to see you too. Nice to see you again. And I hope, again, I hope that folks had themselves a decent Monday. At least as decent as Mondays can be. Because you never know. Alright, now I think we're going to take our makeup sponges to this. Like so. So we put these darker colors on. Then we wipe part of it away. And then we come back in with our lighter colors. Allow this to be sort of an active zenithal here. Lord Goober was... obviously, with the situation here, we don't get to do any of the meetings or anything like that. Hopefully, hopefully the last meeting went okay. I would assume that this last Sunday was the last meeting. I think they did a telephone meeting, right? Hey, Arid, how you doing? Everybody, please give Arid Wife a follow. Also, please go ahead and do that now. Here. I'm going to go with maybe brown matter. Let's just use something like this right here. So some brown matter. Some Van Dyke brown. Maybe. A little bit of the Van Dyke brown here. Maybe a little bit more of the Van Dyke brown. Hey, Queez, how you doing? So, Queez, I was glad that you got in a couple of games that day. That's very cool. Thank you so much, Arid. Appreciate the bitses there. Thank you so much. There you go. We should have... Yeah, we do have sound. Yeah, we haven't been able to do any of the meetings there, Lord Goober. I mean, I feel bad, but... I mean, really, since... Well, it's not like we'll be able to be there, basically, so... Unfortunate, that's for sure. Be the first time we've missed one in 17 years, since 2007. So 16 years. Well, I mean, obviously there were the other ones. We had no choice. Everybody missed those. But where it was an option to be there, we've always been there. Let me see. I think so. I think we're all caught up there. And again, Blades, if you want to share any pictures of stuff that you've been working on the stream there. I hope it was a really fun stream. So we're almost there with our pre-glaze now. Hey, Megan, how you doing? Great to see you, Megan. So there will still be one there, Lord Goober. I mean, it's still going to be set up. Obviously, we are not going to be there. There will still be the tables and the lights. Other than that, obviously, I don't know anything beyond that. Alright, let's get a little bit of that over here. And then again, with our sponges. Blades, that is... welcome to streaming, that's for sure. Welcome to streaming, because it'll do stuff and just be prepared for that to keep happening. I mean, you'll have everything all set and ready to go, and it should all work perfectly. And because of a stupid Windows update or something like that, it's going to be painful sometimes. I saw 5 houses. Ah, okay, that's yeah, definitely. You don't want any surprises, right, Irid? But I'm glad. I know that was a difficult thing on the body there, but I'm glad that you were at least able to make some progress in that area. Yeah, Blades, how many times have I come on here and for some stupid reason there is no the mics. The computer just changed them to nothing. It literally just turned the mic off and put something else in its place that doesn't even exist. And I didn't do anything. Did absolutely nothing, and that still happened. Thank you so much, Irid. Yeah, I'm not so glad that you're sore, but I am glad that you're able to make some progress there. Lord Goober, hopefully you'll still get a chance to get some stuff done for Adepticon. Alright, well, I do think that means we got ourselves a choo-choo. Thank you so much to Irid. Appreciate that. It's like underwater trains. Yes, trains can even run underwater. At least here in Wappleville they can. There it is. There's the height train. Height train. Here it is. Height train. Coming down the tracks. There we go. But yes, Greenleaf terrain. I have to definitely make me some terrain for this because terrain, right? I mean, terrain is life. Terrain is absolutely everything. I'm not joking about that. Because I really, 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 really love terrain. Now you know what? Let's try and darken this down a smidge here as it approaches our, well, big octopus here, or whatever he is, or Kraken. How you doing there, Artemico? Alright, now we're going to get some of our lighter stuff in. First, though, I got to grab me another cough drop because that's just the only way we're going to survive here. How's about radiant blue, I suppose? Maybe some radiant green. And let's start to get some lighter water effects in here. It's a little bit different than the stuff we've done on the ships, of course. So Artemico, I think they even have stuff for fortifications or rules for fortifications. So I want to make some of those too. Maybe a big old port city, something like maybe something like Carthage or whatever. That could be interesting. Thank you so much, Walter's Workshop, for that raid. We appreciate that. If everybody could please give Walter's Workshop a follow, that'd be sensational. And of course, Walter, if you want to post any examples of your stuff in the chat, any instas, Discord, whatever. I'm glad you got your sound going there, Quiz. It's a minor detail, right? Minor detail, gotta have that sound. So, Ice Office, how you doing? Nice to see you back. And again, everybody, please give Walter's Workshop a follow. And of course, Walter, what were you working on stream? We're working on, this is the newest faction from Armada. This is the Trident Realms here. There you go. Look, available in March of 2023. Thank you so much, Valfera. Yeah, Quiz, it was funny. I was filming a video last night. I was filming a video and it was being persnickety during the video. Now it's a little bit different here with our ships, with cutting through the water and leaving a wake. This is not quite the same. Not quite the same thing here. And there's your Twilight Kin right there. Walter's Workshop. That sounds really cool. Where's our... oh, here we go. We just did this. This was in our last stream. Our next to last stream. We did one of these. I guess this is the Strategos, right? I've got the rest of the unit of the... I was going to say the Byzantines, but the Cataphracts. I got to get those put together. Hey, Cosplaying Kitten, how you doing? Thank you so much, Soul Search. Appreciate that. So everybody also please give Cosplaying Kitten a follow. So Cosplaying Kitten, do you need to get stuff ready for Adepticon as well, or are you just gonna kind of take a chill approach to Adepticon and just sort of hang out and maybe not too much in the way of say tournaments and games and such? Hey Nick, so how you doing? I hope that your Monday has been a good one. And what we're doing here, we're just working some of the lighter colors here in our water effects. We can certainly go lighter than this. So thanks again, Soul Search. Appreciate that. So Green Fairy Studios, how you doing? Yeah, now that I've got this one prepped, and we've got a couple of the others. There's also the big old whale ready to go. So Valfera, hopefully, I don't know, was the weather still doing the up and down thing and basically making it so you still can't get a decent night's sleep? hopefully not as crazy as the last round that you just had. Boy, oh boy, Valfera, sorry that just keeps happening. I mean, it's like a conspiracy. It's like a conspiracy theory there, Valfera. Hey there, M-Tellers, how you doing? Nixel, I'm glad that things are going great. Boy, that's really nice to hear. Alright, Cosplaying Kitten, if you wanted to post any of your miniature stuff, I know you have plenty of artwork also that you can post. And again, everybody, please give Cosplaying Kitten a follow too. Hey, Judge Dredd, nice to see you. So Judge Dredd, the keys are less is more and more is way too much. And by less, we mean something like this. Here, we're going to take this brush here. Maybe I'm going to get me some more of my Naphthol red out here. Just 1 second. Alright, there's some of our Naphthol red. And we are going to just use as little as possible here. And you'll see just how little paint we're talking about. Basically what happens when people are using oil paints, that there's too much paint piled up on there. Absolutely way too much. You can see it's already starting to mix with the colors that are underneath there. So that is going to be something vitally important. Less is more, and more is way too much. Yeah, well, Valfera, I hope that you can get past that very, very, very soon. And sorry that just keeps happening to you. Hey, Hootie Hoot, nice to see you. Yeah, M-Towers, I mean, this is obviously when I would like to be streaming, especially, say, on Friday and Saturday and such. This is the time I would like to. I think maybe the next few, well, I think this Friday and Saturday and then next Monday, I think will be more at normal times like this. And then after that, who knows what the heck's going to happen. So you can see again, see how that darker color is mixing with that, but it is very much a light brush stroke here. The other thing you can do is just plop that paint down there and push it around and let it, this is your palette, not mixing a bunch of colors over here. This is actually your palette here. Hey Kraken, El Kraken is a featured guest here on our first Armada Mondays in a while. So yeah, actually we have painted a whole bunch of Armada stuff here. I mean, just so much. This is just a tiny, tiny little sampling here. Where's my elf ships? Where did those go? Oh, where's my elf ships? Yeah, there we go. So we've painted pretty basically every single fleet that's possible. Now, I think except for the dwarves, I think that's all we haven't painted. We've even painted some of the salamanders. Have a pretty big Basilean fleet. We'll get more of the orcs going too. But we also have the, oh gosh, what are they? The Northern Alliance. We did an entire fleet of Northern Alliance here. And of course, did a decent sized fleet of the Twilight Kin as well. Yeah, Gosk, there's a dwarf fleet. You've got your, well, basically lizard men for all intents and purposes. But Nixel, I'm really glad that things are going well for you. That is super great to hear. Here, let me get some more of that. Again, that's a mix of the radiant, radiant yellow, and our naphthol red. But you can see that darker color is already starting to mix in there. The other thing that you need to do is give paint time to set. So here we stopped fooling around with the lighter blues. We moved on to something else so they had a chance to set. So yeah, Queez, I've been really trying to get the voice going here. Now, it's still going to take a while before it's really back to where it needs to be. It could take at least another week or so. Let me see. So guys, I don't have any affiliate links to Mantic. Actually, did you see? Oh, here we go. We painted this. We painted this up on stream. What was this, last week? I think it was the harvester, the halfling harvester. Still got to get the. Still got to get my terrain stuff on there. Oh, that's cool, Nixel. That'd be fantastic. Thank you so much, Blades. I appreciate that. And Valfer, again, thank you so much, too. Thanks, Blades. So El Kraken, we also have been working on a unit of the doggies right here. A little bit of multi-basing there. And everybody, please also give Megan Paints a follow. Megan, if you want to post your link tree in the chat, of course, that'd be sensational. Now, I can only do so much of this before I have to actually back away from the red and move on to another area so that this doesn't get too built up too quickly. But again, you can see that darker color on the end of the brush there. I think I can actually maybe zoom in a little bit more now. There we go. I don't know, so a little bit of this down in here too. So everybody, again, please check out Megan's link tree. Alright, now this, some of it is definitely some metal and some of it is just going to be some kind of brown here. Here, let's do this maybe for the brown areas. That is radiant violet and some of the brown matter. And once again, we're just going to very, very lightly. I mean, look at this. We're holding this brush. Can it get much lighter than that? But you can still see all that darker color is mixing the entire time. Hey, Happy Heretic, how you doing? Great to see you back. And again, happy Monday to everybody. I know that for some folks, this Monday had an awful lot of Monday in it. Sometimes there's just too much Monday. we'll have to change that around a little bit later on. Let's see, keep going with this here. We'll have to work in some gold in a few areas, it looks like here too. So next, so this should be very interesting doing the Trident Realms fleet. We got the angler fish all set to go, and we also have one of these. We've got the turtle all set to go as well. Oh, Happy Heretic, I'm glad that all worked out well. If you want to post any pictures of that, if you want to post some pictures of that, that'd be fantastic. Brilliant Yellow Pale now, and a little bit of the Indian Yellow. Let's see if we can start to toss in just a hint of some gold-ish areas, especially here. Light touch on the brush. I can't emphasize that enough. Super, super light touch on the brush. And even then, see, it's still mixing with that darker color, so we'll come back here. We'll get some fresh color there. Looks like this area also needs some gold-ish colors. So Green Fairy Studios, there can't be a whole lot of ranged weapons, although these look like ranged weapons here. So apparently they still have ranged weapons. The other ones I can't really tell. I'd have to really probably be getting down to actually painting them to see if maybe they're they're gonna have ranged weaponry too. Yeah, definitely Nixel. If the color goes somewhere, it must go everywhere. Actually, I think that is also, yeah, they've got that also as, well, having some gold on it. But you can see all these colors, they do get to mix together in some fashion. Not necessarily absolutely everywhere. We'll probably throw maybe some green pin line washes in a few areas too. And again, sometimes you just plop that color on there and then you push it around. Here I'm going to go a little bit more towards just the brilliant yellow pale, and maybe even a little bit of the fast matte there. Maybe even a touch of this green. Just the slightest touch of that green. Light touch on the brush as always. I mean, extremely low. Look where my hand is on this brush. See how close it is to the back of the brush and not to the front of the brush. Guys, it really is the key. Is working fast, working everywhere on the miniature all at once. Not getting bogged down in just one tiny little area. Hey Tea Kettle, how you doing? Everybody please also give Tea Kettle a follow. Of course, Tea Kettle, if you want to post any links to some things in the chat there, some of your latest work. I'm sure people will get a kick out of seeing that. There. Now let's go back down to our water here. Let's see what we can do with that. Now I think we can finally start to work a little bit lighter here. That's some radiant blue with our fast matte white. Tea kettle. I was trying to film a video last night. It was being persnickety for whatever reason last night. Don't know why. I thought I had taken, all the usual precautions and such, but for whatever reason during the video last night, it was definitely being a little bit persnickety. It's just getting into some of the lighter water effects here. If we feel like it's too late, we can always take our blending brush, right, knock that down, and then come back again. Alright, and then let's see what we want to do wave-wise here, because these need to just be more like regular waves out here. Like so. A little bit of thinner in this, but not too much thinner, of course. Just enough. Because if you remember, thin over thick and vice versa, that's another critical thing with the oils. Typically people, they're just shoveling way too much paint on there. Quite literally 4, 5, 10 times too much paint, because they kind of have a tendency to think of it as super slow drying acrylics as opposed to, well, its own medium unto itself. So you need to approach the oils as if they were oils, and again, not just super slow drying acrylics. Which means hashtag no layers. You don't see any layers here. That is a really important thing. You pile on layers of paint, well, you'll be waiting a long time for stuff to dry, that's for sure. So everybody, please check out the link that Tea Kettle posted. I have to say, it was a little bit tricksy trying to get the water effects around the Sea Monster faction here, because they've got some water already piled up on top of them. So I had to kind of sort of pile my water effects on top of theirs. Like here. Wasn't quite sure. I didn't know that's what that was. Again, trying to create a bit of a wake here behind it. It's not going to be like our usual ships, where you have a rudder right there and a clearly defined end of the stern. It's going to be just a little bit different than what we do here. Let's get the rest of our... And this is not the lightest of the water effect. We can still go even lighter than this. Yeah, I'm going to go darker real quick here, though. Let me see if I can get some indigo. Some of our Prussian blue here. And this part especially needs to be really dark out here. And this is every bit as much of a dry brush as what we're doing here with the lighter stuff. So the dry brush works both ways. It can be darker, it can be lighter. And here I'm just actually blending some stuff. Just using this as essentially a blending brush right now. Might need to get a little bit of my phthalo green in here. That's one thing that might be missing just a smidge. Again, doing a little bit of dry brush for that to work some of that phthalo green in there. Hey Laminas, how you doing? So yeah, Laminas, the new printer, that's just that's on hold indefinitely right now. I'm just trying to get the other printer going again. And was it yesterday? I think it was. Or was it yesterday or the day before? Was the first time I've actually been able to at least get a new print going on the existing machine. I'm going to be trying to wash that resin after the stream tonight. I have been trying to stockpile resin though. I did get the smoky black. You know, when you show me the smoky black was on sale, I ended up getting the smoky black because that is something that I'll be using on the bigger printer. Now, see, I'm taking some of that green into here. Just doing, look at, color goes somewhere and must go everywhere, right? See, that's starting to go up here. Part of it is the maybe the reflective nature of some of the gold here. Oh, geez, Luminous, sorry about that. Sorry to hear about that. Was that just something just completely out of left field, nowhere? Or was it something that you thought, well, okay, maybe this is something we might have to start worrying about? Get a little bit of the green down there, mostly in the in the shadow areas here. Maybe a little bit up here too. Again, that is very much a dry brush. You can see the yellow getting on the brush there. So it means I try to freshen up the brush just a little bit. Now over here, let me see if I can get some more brown matter. Yeah, I guess we'll go with some of the brown matter here. And once again, doing some dry brushing there. So maybe darken out a few areas up here, like so. Yikes, Luminous, that is definitely quite a few miles on that for sure. Hey, Teach Me at 12, how you doing? Nice to see you. I hope that your Monday was a good one. And well, hopefully all of your painting projects go very well. So again, we're just making a few little changes here and there. Again, doing this dry brush type stuff. This is what keeps the paint down to an absolute minimum. That is why, I mean, maybe some areas of the tentacles here, there's a lot of red there. Those might take an extra day or so to dry, but other than that, that's about it. Now, what do we want to do with the eyes here? It's sort of, it's kind of hard to tell what they've got. I'm going to just dry brush some phthalo green over there. And here. Just leave it at that. Okay, now let me see if I can start to lighten up some of the reds here a bit more. So yeah, Luminous, really sorry to hear about that. Radiant magenta, some of the radiant yellow. Maybe get a little bit of our naphthol red in there too. I don't know, maybe a little more radiant yellow. Still using our filbert brushes here. Letting this mix. You can see, look at all that dark paint on the end of the brush there. That is the existing color that's already on here that's mixing with the new stuff. Teach me, the Armada ships are really, there's a lot of interesting fleets, and we've painted basically all of them here on the channel. Here's your Twilight Kin fleet. Here's your Northern Alliance. And we've done a big old Empire of Dust fleet as well. Let me see if I can find those guys for you. So yeah, we had the big old Empire of Dust fleet, pretty decent sized Basilean fleet. Even the Oryx. We painted the Lizardmen. Painted basically the High Elves there. Obviously, I did some fun freehand on all of the sails. But they're definitely very fun. I haven't had a chance to actually play it yet. I have actually seen a bunch of gameplay videos, so I kind of have at least an idea of how it plays. Sort of a very, very, very generic idea of the different fleets. Some obviously, I think these will be less involved with things like I don't even know if these can do boarding actions. Probably not too much with the ranged weaponry. I guess grapple attacks, because I know that the orcs can also do that sort of thing. They actually have a ship that does grapple other ships, I believe. They have one with a big twirling hammer on it too, I think. And there's the Kathy. Is she waving goodnight to everybody? Kathy waves goodnight to everybody. Everybody loves Kathy. Let's get a little more of our, again, the lighter red in here. You can always, again, do more. We're still working with very large brushes. As you can see, there are large filbert brushes here. So she just popped her head into the room here real quick. I don't think she'll be joining us in chat since it's already 9:37. I mean, maybe, who knows? Alright, here, look at the radiant magenta, some of the radiant yellow. And I think we need to, yeah, that needs to be more pronounced in here, it looks like. Oh, yeah, we gotta get some over here. So Blades, did you ultimately end up finding out why in the world the camera was doing weird stuff? And I guess the next question is, was there a Windows update before you in between your last stream and this one? So thanks everybody for all the best wishes for Kathy. We appreciate all the folks that have done the cheers, the bits, the subs, and everybody that's contributed to that too. We appreciate that. Okay, I'm gonna let some of that violet color mix with this magenta right here, so we're getting some basically blends that I don't even have to do. It's just like basically free blending there. Yeah, Megan, I wasn't quite sure. I had no idea that they were doing a critter fleet like this. And then I heard of Trident Realms, and I figured, okay, well, there's going to be some sea monsters. I didn't know what they might actually look like ultimately. He's definitely got some creepiness to him. Now I need to maybe come back here with even some more light there. Let's get some more of our brilliant yellow pale. And some of the fast matte white too, I suppose. Thank you so much, Rugo. I appreciate that, and so does Gandalf. And of course, Gandalf says, "Oh, so while we're screwing around at that stupid doorway, you show up. You looked a little bit bigger in the movie, I have to say." It's like, dude, I didn't live in the water right by that thing. I was like way down in the depths, man. So, is that why you're so small? Like, really? You're gonna make fun of my size? Huh? How'd you like a tentacle to the face? Thank you so much for that follow. I appreciate that. Oops, that's not the right one. This is the one we need here. Okay, to get some more of our lightest light here. And then we'll sharpen up a few edges too with our with our liner brush. We still have to get our lightest light down here on the water. Yeah, let's hit this over here too. Now I know, let's see, Printing Goes Ever On did a Watcher in the Water for Middle Earth SPG. I'm pretty sure that Kurzlook also did. I don't know of anybody else. I don't think Medberry did. I don't think Diwali has. So the only two that I know of that have done Watcher in the Water files would be a Printing Goes Ever On and Kurzlook. And I've got them printed out somewhere. I don't know where the heck they're at. Alright, let me see what I can do here with the... let's get some, again, the phthalo green here. I guess we'll hit it with even more of the thinner. And this one over here too. Radiant green, I suppose, yeah. Here, and then we'll just let that mix with the existing phthalo green. And then I guess we'll try and get some of our lighter... I'm going to throw some of this green up here too, why not? Thanks for doing the clip there, Bithron. Appreciate that. And we'll do some more on the eyes here. I just gotta let that paint set there for now. Also, see if we can lighten this up even a little bit further here. Maybe more of the radiant magenta. So it's almost radiant magenta and the radiant yellow mixed together. Maybe this is not even quite light enough for around the eyes here. Maybe we need to go a little bit stronger with some thinner. Yeah, thinner paint sticks to thicker paint and vice versa. See how that sticks there. But the next layer that we put on there is probably going to have to either be much thinner or even thicker. But I would guess more along the lines of thinner. Here we are. And this is not the lightest light either. We can certainly go lighter than this. I think I might even try to get some violet into this area too. We have a lot of the warmer reds working their way into this. That actually needs to sort of transfer into a bit of a gold there. Then we've got this area here that I'm not really sure. They mean for that to be gills or exactly what they intend for that to be. And actually that's supposed to be, they intend for that to be water. Okay, well, good to know. I'll change this then. Where's my lighter blue here? Like so. Sometimes you just gotta be willing to make some changes along the way. And then I think we will also get our black line along the edge there too. I'm not sure how much lighter I want that to be. Right by the carapace here. Again, yeah, we're gonna do some more in the way of some violet on this too, but Right now I'm looking for some of the warmer, lighter colors. Got some of those right here. And again, thanks to everybody for joining me here. Appreciate you keeping me company as we return to Armada Mondays. So you can see the differences really starts to make here. And thank you so much. That is appreciated. B-Dub, how you doing? Actually, I'm going to try me a little bit of the ginger ale here. Thank you so much. So guys, I'm not quite sure. They these things they have. I mean, there'll be some, this is kind of very tiny right here, but you'll see some giant, practically giant buildings on there. Actually, well, let's see. The Empire of Dust sort of shows that. I don't know if this picture really shows it. You can sort of see it on the elf ships there, but here on the Empire of Dust fleet, you can see. And here, actually, why don't you take a look at things like the Dictator? Look at that. See that big old building on the back. So obviously, there's some pretty gigantic scale to some of these things. So I'm sure there must be some description in maybe some of the either the rule book, the main rule book, or on each of the little cards. That's actually something I don't have for these guys. Is the little cards? That's right. So it's possible that there might be some stuff that lives on that shell there, or whatever that is, on his ventral side. No, dorsal side, sorry. Yeah, again, radiant yellow, some of the radiant magenta. So not quite as orange as is what the official stuff shows. I mean, we could still make it a little bit more orange. There's nothing. All I would take is a bit of the Indian yellow, mix that probably with the radiant magenta. That should probably give us an orange. There's also some flying critters in the game. Pretty sure that the Basileans have some kind of eagles. I don't know what some of the other ones are. I think there's Twilight Kin. I think they and the Empire of Dust probably rely a little bit more, maybe on magic, than some of the other ones. And yeah, let's again keep going with some of our lightest red color here. All the while it is mixing with the existing colors here. That's why we don't have to mix a whole bunch of paint. That's where the time savings comes in. And also where the blending comes in. Instead of just mixing new colors of paint and such and layering those on. Let me do... there's some Perline Black, maybe. And some parts of this where it's gold, well, we're going to let it have some reflections of green on it, especially over here. Especially here, where it's going to maybe be reflecting the water. Like so. And this is not a super light color either. It is just a mid-tone. That's all it's meant to be. Again, this is not the lightest color that we can use. We can certainly go lighter than this. So there's again some more of our green, again reflecting some of the water here. We are also going to have to get our lightest light from the water on that. So yeah, Bithron, there's definitely there's a lot of interesting aspects to the game. You know what, that probably is also going to get a little bit more of the greenish color here. Trying to get as much variety as possible. I know this is very small, but it actually represents a really big creature slash ship, because this base right here, this is the biggest base. And the ships go all the way down to really small stuff like these guys right here. Basically every faction has some version of this type of ship, so you can see just how much smaller that is. I think the only really small ships that are painted like that actually from the Lizard Man fleet of all things. Yeah, it was from the Salamanders. And if you want to see some of the previous sessions where we've been painting the all these different ships, you just have to check them out. They're all saved as highlights. Every single older session here is saved as a highlight. You know what, first I'll go back with some darker stuff here before I just start doing more with the light. So we'll take some indigo here. Some indigo and even some of the Payne's gray, and we'll just tighten up a few edges here. Alright, Queez, you have yourself a good night. I know it's getting late there, especially on a Monday, because it's almost 10 here. So thank you so much, Queez, for hanging out. Appreciate you being here. So again, just sharpen up a few edges there. I actually have done a few videos on these for the Patreon page, and we just did a new video. I'll be uploading this to the to YouTube and the Patreon page later tonight. So this is a diorama piece. I still have the miniature to paint, but we filmed the construction of this, and then last night I filmed the painting process and the foliage and the flock and the waterfall there. That's it's always fun doing dioramas like that. Yeah, so guys, obviously I have, again, a limited dwarf fleet, not tons, but I do have at least probably 5 dwarf ships. So we'll try and do those when we can. Thank you so much, Atomic Tiki. I appreciate that. And along comes Gandalf, and he says, "You shall not pass." Is like, dude, don't stop throwing coins in here and making wishes. It's like, I don't really have any coins, dude. I'm a wizard. It's like those halflings are, man. They keep chucking stuff in the water here. Crazy halflings polluting the environment all the time. See if I, here, let me throw just a couple again, some darks up here. It also helps to sharpen up a few edges. It's almost a pin line wash. It's not quite there. It's pretty darn close. So as I was trying out that acrylic paint last night, I threw a lot of water in there, and it did behave a little bit like contrast paint, although I think actually capillary action might have been better. Of course, it's not going to be anywhere near what the oil paint capillary action is, of course. I mean, you want true capillary action. That's where the oils are going to be. That's where they're going to just far exceed anything. See if I can't cut down some of that. Hey, Clover. Boy, it's been a while. How you doing? Thank you so much, Clover. Appreciate that. I hope that you are doing really well. Hope that your week got off to a decent start or a great start. Either way, nothing says it can't be a great start. You know what? I think I might just throw a little bit of this here too. Like so. Yeah, Clover just trying to kind of survive. Just kind of survive in advance, I suppose, is the language. More dark there. And once we've done this, then we can really start to maybe come back in with some really nice light edge stuff here. But to show the light, we must have dark, and that's what we're doing right now. So Clover, hopefully the painting projects go well. I know for a lot of folks, things are just, they're so crazy, so busy. It's creating a little bit of a difficulty for getting some of their painting projects done. And I know a lot of folks they're trying to work towards Adepticon, obviously. Let me see, I can darken that down just a little bit there too. So all that is just a little bit of indigo, even some Payne's gray mixed in there. Maybe even darken up these waves out here just a little more. Blending brush. Let me see if I can just clean this out a little. There's, yeah, too much of the green in there. Do have to make sure, though, that brush is going to be dry. Well, Clover, I'm glad that you got a chance to paint some. Because I know for a bunch of folks, it's been a little bit difficult trying to keep up with the painting. Alright, now maybe let's get the darker stuff out of the brush. And let's see what we can do here for some of our lightest edges. Hey, Free Range, how you doing? Everybody, please give Free Range Minis a follow. So nice to see you again, Free Range Minis. And Free Range, if there anything you wanted to post in the chat, any work in progress or Instagram or Discord images or anything like that, go ahead. Okay. Yeah, just starting to get some lighter edges here on some of our golds. There's probably a little more thinner than what I really want on the brush. Eventually, it'll kind of get absorbed. Yeah, I guess we will lighten up some of these. And I'll utilize the pre-glaze that's already here to lighten that, but also make sure it has a tint of some sort of a color. So if everybody, please check out please check out Free Range Miniatures. So Free Range, I hope that your first experiment there with the non-metallic metal went well. There's those, well, and as we were working on some non-metallic metal here, the key, it really is, it's all about the reflections, the reflected light, the reflected colors. Without those, it just is not really going to look metal. I mean, it can look interesting, it can have some nice shading, but if you want it to actually look like metal, it just has to have all that vital reflection. Hey, bench guy, nice to see ya. I hope that your week started out okay. And hopefully you've had have a chance to do some more building and such with the with the kids to kind of get them more and more into the whole miniature thing. As we say it all the time, right? The family that paints together or builds together stays together. Some of my light right there, and then we have to figure out what are we doing here with this element. Thank you so much, Senior Diablo, or sorry, JP. Thanks, JP, and then Senior Diablo, thank you so much for the follow. So JP, I hope that you are doing well. And along comes Ganem, he says, okay, look, I wasn't going to sail western on the other ships because they were too small for the halflings. This is ridiculous. This is like the tiny watcher in the water. It's like, I heard that. It's like the halfling watcher in the water. Let's keep here. Again, there's a little bit of intertwine things here. We might still have to throw some darks back there too. Hey Mafi, how you doing? Or bench guy, thank you so much. Thanks, bench guy. Actually gonna grab me a little bit of this. And then we're gonna welcome in Mafi with the raid. Thank you so much, Mafi, for the raid. As always, if everyone could please give Mafi a follow, that would be sensational. That'd be really fantastic. So Mavi, I hope that your week is off to a great start here. I hope that your stream was a blast, and if you want to share any of your stuff there in the chat so people can see what you were doing on stream, that'd be fantastic. And of course, we're working on some of the newest Armada ships. So we've done plenty of Armada stuff here. We did a whole Twilight Kin fleet, Empire of Dust, Basileans, Orcs. We did the Lizardmen. We also did the Northern Alliance here. So plenty of ships to go with. Again, this is the Armada game from Mantic. Yeah, let's catch a little bit of light here on these edges. Oh yeah, this needs it here too. Just like so. Might come back in with more of our green in a few spots. Oh, and by the way, this is 1 hour 14 minutes in. An hour 14 minutes ago, this had no paint on it whatsoever. We're using, as always, our traditional artist oil paints. So Mafia, thank you so much for the raid. Ooh, yeah, I guess I better lighten that up too. Catching some more of these edges way up here. So bench guy, much appreciated. It really does make a big difference. Now, I'm pretty sure that the Thursday stream would still be a later stream, but I do hope that the Friday and Saturday streams will be more like this time. At least that is sort of the plan for right now. Never any guarantees, that's for sure. Gotta work some more on my, especially down here. On these, that was too much. Let me see if I can use, well, we'll just use this as a blending brush to take some of that away. You can see how easy it is to make adjustments, change things with the oils. I mean, you can quite literally erase paint. You can just take the makeup sponges and wipe the paint off of the miniature. I mean, you don't really want to get in the practice of doing that, but it is possible. Here, I just gotta grab a cough drop real quick here. 1 second. So it looks to me like these are some sort of ranged weapons here. And I don't have the card that goes with these because, well, fairly certain these aren't officially out yet. Let's get our couple more lights over here. Definitely along these edges. Suppose this could still be a little lighter up here. We'll let this mix with, again, that greenish color that's already there. More, oh yeah, definitely gotta get some more light edges along this. There we go. I think even the turtle, yeah. So the turtle also has, well, it actually does have some ranged weapons on it. Oh yeah, and the anglerfish also has whatever little, I don't know, those are cannons or what those are supposed to be, strapped to the sides. I just noticed now we have these underneath that ranged weapon here. Try and throw a little bit of light up here. Oh yeah, let's get some lighter edges along this. We might think that after doing this, then we'll come back and get the more lights on our water effect there too. We need some more light edges all along this, like so, down here, down here too. I think all of that, yeah, that's all gonna be getting some lighter edges to it, but not too much thinner. Again, we don't want to just turn this into a pin line wash. Now the actual, the last session was, oh, that was our Space Marine, that's right. That was a big surprise for a bunch of folks. We actually did a Space Marine on stream. And I have printed out some more, so we'll try and do some more things with Space Marine armor. Let me see how light I want to go with these chompers here. Yeah, looks like I can still get reasonably light here on these things. And I want to get some more light down here too somehow. There's an awful lot of teeth here, no doubt about it. I might just take something like really yellow pale and the radiant magenta for some of the lightest lights on the skin, tentacles, that sort of thing. Now look where my hand is on this brush. See, it's nowhere near this. Why? Because I can't even reach the figure until I do have my hands back well off of that metal ferrule. You can see we have plenty of control over that, don't we? Plenty of control. You actually have way more leverage if your hands are not wrapped around that metal ferrule of the brush. You'll end up with way more control, and also very important with the oil paints, you'll end up with a much gentler brush stroke on the figure itself, so you're less likely to be wiping away your paint. And absolutely no problem getting little details here, is there? Even with my hand, again, nowhere near the metal ferrule of the brush. I've seen people with the death grip approach to holding the paintbrush. It looks super uncomfortable, for one thing. And then I just keep wondering, how in the world can people just keep doing that hour after hour? It's like they're trying to poke a hole in the miniature or something. I mean, seriously, I've seen some real death grips on the brush. Alright, there we go. Again, a couple little highlights along that edge there. We did have to make sure in the early stages, though, to get some of those other, see some of the background color, some of that green that you see. And that even though it's a gold, there's green reflections on the metals. Why? Because it's surrounded by, well, an ocean. Or water of some type. Alright, I'll get a couple of more areas of light here, some there. Stick it with obviously the surfaces where they're facing upwards. Not too much there because technically they're sort of in shadow. So JP, yeah, I'm sure if you have yourself some new oil paints now, especially if they're some nice ones like the Williamsburg, the Gamlin, the Winsor Newton, I'm sure you'll get fantastic results from those. I shudder to think of the paints that I was using, the really cheap paints that I was using back when I was a kid. Holy smokes, no wonder I was not able to do all the effects that I would see the painters on TV doing. Because they had stuff that was a heck of a lot snazzier than what I was working with. You know what? Maybe I can still Sneak a few light. Yeah, there we go. Get on to the, well, we'll just call it the carapace there. Not gonna call it the stern. Flexor says a little, yeah, we need to lighten that up too. Even up here, I'm gonna try and lighten up a few areas of our gold. Might even try to get some orangey gold up there too. More filigree over here, and then there's some of these areas here. Let me get a little bit of my Terra Rosa, some of the Indian yellow here. It's certainly going to have some orange look to it. Blending brush, yeah. This is the area where I was thinking if I could get some of the orange in here. Not so much there, but down here. Now, it's not so much about changing the value of it. It's actually about changing the color temperature. Go back to my, again, this is a little bit of orangey yellow in it. Same over here again on this part of the carapace. The pre-glaze on this was pretty simple, I have to say. You'll hear violet, the Egyptian violet, some naphthol in there too. The water, mostly indigo, Prussian blue, did work in some phthalo green in a few areas. And again, I hope everybody's week is off to a really good start here. I don't know how much orange I want down here. I still would prefer that to be almost more of a greenish color there. Now along this shell or a carapace, let me grab this. That's our radiant violet, mixing that with the brown matter over here. Coming up with a couple of edges, I suppose. There's a little bit of thinner in there, but not too much. Now let's lighten that up to just a little bit. And we got that plenty of green. That's some of that perline black. Let's put some of this on the other side here. Trying to bring out some of that shell if I can. And yeah, I think that actually almost needs to be more of a gold right there. This is almost a bit of a dry brush right here. It's the nifty thing about these liner brushes. They have really very firm bristles as well. Thank you so much, Bench Guy. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. I don't know. I might actually. I haven't turned this thing on in a while, so I'm actually going to turn on my mug warmer there. See if that'll warm up the tea. Haven't used it yet. I've usually use it on my hot chocolate. Thanks so much, Armored Wolf, for posting the link. Again, we appreciate everyone that has contributed to that. Especially been important the last 2-3 weeks with both of us getting sick here. Basically, all we could do was just try to get Amazon food in here, and that was about it. Okay, good. I still have some of the fast mat over here that doesn't have any yellow in it. I'm going to try and get my lightest areas down here in the water. Again, I try to take my water effects and mesh those in or cover up their water effects that they do. Again, a little bit more of the light there. So this is basically the fast matte white. There's not mixing any of the radiant blue in with it, since that's already kind of mixing on its own with each and every brush stroke that I do. So you can see I'm trying to create almost some ripples here around these lead tentacles. I'll have to see if they'll have any gameplay videos of the Trident Realms, the new faction, up there as soon as possible, so that we can get a feel for how they also play. Again, some of that lighter reflection light, and even maybe a hint of transparency too. JP, I hope that you're able to get all the stuff you want done for Adepticon. Get that all finished up without having to go too crazy. Although, I mean, that's kind of almost a par for the course with conventions, where you really have to work very intensely, because of course weird things pop up at the last minute and you don't have the time that you thought you were going to have. Let's see, maybe we will go a little bit lighter down there. Alright, well, Megan, yeah, it's 11:25 there, and it is a Monday, so hopefully you can get yourself some sleep. And of course, Megan, if you want to post your link tree again, everybody please give Megan Paints a follow. Megan has been doing the streaming thing, so everybody please check out Megan. Again, give Megan a follow. You're hosting a paint intake. Well, that can be a lot of work. So I wish you well on that endeavor. Let me see here. I'm gonna work here just a couple of lighter edges here and there. And this is just the straight up fast matte white at this point. Actually, that is going to need some more edges right there. Alright, well, good night there, Megan. And again, JP, I wish you luck getting everything done. I know it can be very, very daunting, especially as that calendar ramps up. That is going to have to be knocked down a bit there. Thank you so much, JP. Appreciate that. Yeah, this last couple of weeks, not exactly what we were hoping for. You know what? I'm going to do this maybe instead. We have been talking about some violet. I think I'm actually going to, yeah, here, start with the violet on the little suckers here. And then some on this too. This is, we can certainly get lighter than this. For now though, I'm going to mostly stick with that. Again, this is very much a mid-tone here with the violet, but now I'm going to start to work some of that in over here. Maybe even around the eyes. As you can see, we got more of a warm and now more of a cooler color there along the edge. And we're only 1 hour and 37 minutes in. That's it, 1 hour 37 minutes on this, and the water affects everything. That is the beauty of the oil paints, of course. Yeah, let me work in some of that violet over here. Same all the way down here to the water. Maybe a smidge more of the radiant violet there. Yep, keep going. Oh, there's an awful lot of thinner on that. Might need to get rid of some of that thinner. And when we talk about thin over thick, sometimes it could be as little as 5% more thinner. Doesn't necessarily mean by thick, straight out of the tube thick. It could just mean a dry brushed thing, and then you do something like a pin line wash over the top of that. Hey there, Armada Stig. Boy, Armada Stig, that was back in what, 2018. Wow, that's scary to think that was 5 years ago. Well, I can show you the board. I think it was at least 2 feet on one dimension, because we were eventually going to be use it as terrain for games of bolt action. Let me see if I can scroll all the way up. There we go. So I think it might have been 24 by 24 by 24. Or if not exactly that, pretty darn close to it. So I think that was pretty close to 24 inches on all dimensions there. And again, that was supposed to be eventually playable terrain, so that we could actually play some Monte Casino in bolt action. Again, I actually have been able to find some amazing 3D printable files. Right now I've just been focusing on the early war French, but I think I'll try and get some for the Italians. I just really wish that the 3D printing was as developed back when I was doing bolt action the way it is now. That could have saved a lot of time. I mean, it was fun, scratch building certain things, but now here we were talking about getting some of the violet in here, maybe a little bit darker now. And that'll be in between some of these areas here, so not all of this having that sort of orangey red look. Yeah, Almastig, I know I did just a quick little board for my early war French for that one little tournament they had at, I guess maybe it was at Little Wars. No, it wasn't. No, it was that other thing. That's right. That's the other thing. It would have been fun to maybe at some point to be able to do another bolt action tournament, but I know those aren't going to happen. Now, Almastig, that was going to be one of my 5 French armies. Yes, I had a partisan. Actually, this 3D printable French stuff, not only was there a lot of good early war stuff, but there was a lot of good partisans. There was even partisans hanging out of a Citroen car with pistols and such. And then there was the refugees. So that could have been really interesting to do with like clogged roads and such. But yeah, this guy, they did some really nifty, some French. They even had communist resistance. Obviously, I also count. Well, I was going to do a Vichy French army. I even had a Charlemagne division. I'm counting that as one of my French armies too. Again, letting some of the, can see some of the violet there. It's starting to replace, as you can see, some of the shadow colors here on the tentacles. Might even work some of that into, well, the golds. Yeah, see, there's a couple areas where it's not really any darker, but it actually has a little bit more of a color to it. Yep, Amistag. I think I had 17 different armies in various states of completion. I know I had done a Finnish army. For somebody, I had my early war Soviets. I had my early war. Well, then obviously I had early war and late war German. I was going to do a bunch more. I had a Hungarian army that I was prepping all the figures for. I had actually painted, I think, a Toldi and a Zrinyi tank for my Hungarians. Let's keep going here. Yeah. I know I had done a British 8th. Obviously, I was going to do some New Zealanders, some Aussies. I was going to do some USMC. I had, well, definitely the the Italian Desert Army. I definitely was working on that. It'd be so much easier now to be able to just print out vehicles. But yeah, I'm a Stig. I mean, if you have, well, it's kind of like Lord of the Rings, same thing there. If you basically have one of every single army, then if somebody maybe wants to just kind of get introduced to the game, you can give them a much wider variety, right? Let's do more of our lighter violet under here. Oh, and by the way, we're still just an hour and 45 minutes in. Yes, hour 45 minutes ago, this had absolutely no paint on it whatsoever. Let's see, I'm a Stig. I also have... Let's see, what else was I... Oh, I have a Norwegian. Yes, I have a Norwegian army for a Narvik campaign. So that's another also had a French army that went along with that. Some of the Foreign Legion in Anorak. Oh yeah, I'm just gonna keep going with the... Again, that's the fast matte white here. Hey, no time for a bull. Great to see you back. Yeah, no time for a bull. The nice thing is that when you're doing stuff this way and you're just sort of blocking things in the early stages, then it gives you plenty of room to maneuver later on, where you can say, okay, I need to maybe enhance this edge a little bit more, maybe subdue that. Okay, now that I've done this, maybe I need to go back and make an adjustment to this or that or the other place. Oh, and of course, if you want to be able to get all these armies and fleets and terrain done in a somewhat timely fashion, this really goes a long way to doing that. Now, let me see if I can, again, just grab some of my black primer here. Just hit the edge of this. Because that will let me know just how dark do we have to go or not go with the rest of our blue here on the base. So no time for bull. I hope that you again had a really good Monday, good start to the week. And for everybody trying to get stuff done for Adepticon, I hope that it all works out. You get things done. You don't have to push too hard so that you're not completely exhausted by the time Adepticon rolls around. So Terry, this is done with the oil paints, where we start out with what we call the pre-glaze, where I throw those darker colors on, and then you can see here we take the makeup sponges, we wipe that stuff away, and then we come back into it I'm sorry, with our lighter colors like this, where we essentially dry brush that over the top, but it's mixing, of course, the entire time, since it's oil paint and it's all wet into wet. I think we did a couple little tiny pin line washes in some parts back there, but otherwise it's been mostly just the lighter tones. Alright, now we've got the edge set here. Okay. Yeah, so Terry, everything that I paint on the channel here, all painted with the oils. And we're talking about traditional artist oil paints here. And here's sort of our big three. There's our Winsor Newton. So here you go. So Gamblin and Winsor Newton, very similar in quality, very similar in price, good solid stuff. And the Williamsburg, it will cost you more, but the handmade thing is genuine, that's legit, and it's really fantastic stuff. And oh, this was our latest stream right here. This is from Conquest Miniatures. That's part of the, not 100 Kingdoms, that's part of the Old Dominion. And then what are some other ships also painted with the oils here? And you can check out all these older streams. They're all saved kind of like a YouTube channel. There's the Twilight Kin, again, also painted with the oils. And of course, well, we also paint lots of 3D printed miniatures. This is from Lost Kingdoms. Lots of crazy colors. Some of the same colors that we have there on our Kraken. Thank you so much, Connor Bro. Appreciate that. Never a shortage of Gandalfs. He says, ooh, I always trust my nose. This smells fishy. Thank you so much for that follow, Connor. Appreciate that. Good old Lake Ladoga. Now, so Amastig, you didn't make any machine gun emplacements in the ice, did you? And actually, what I'd love to do is actually basically a waterboard where you can see one of the gas trucks or like one of the trucks that's sinking down into the water where it's broken through the ice and the headlights are still on. That would be pretty wild. So some commandos there too. I don't have any. Oh, actually, Amastig, I believe that same guy that does the STL files for the French and the Italians. I think he has early war Polish. Oh, that's the other thing too. Yeah, I was gonna do a couple of different Polish armies. Obviously, a Warsaw Uprising army, and of course, of 1939. Yeah, Amastig. That was something I really wanted to have. It was essentially, basically, an ice board with little igloos with anti-aircraft and some God of War artillery pieces. So Terry, yep, that's the oil paints I've been using on the miniatures for about the last 6.5 years, 6 1/3 years, something like that. Since 2000, I was using the acrylics, and actually I was just using acrylics on this thing as I was filming a video last night. Because I needed to do my water effects and all the foliage and such in the same video, so it had to obviously be dry. And so like this will be dry tomorrow. This had to be dry within seconds. So yeah, this was done with some acrylic paints here. Gonna continue with some of my light here. Oh yeah, there's still some more edges that we can do. And I may come back into a few places and refresh some of the darker edges. And of course, this was done in oils. Where's our Prince Imrahil? There we go. So this one had to be done in acrylics because it had to again be done, or it had to be dry within seconds. And then this I did on a stream here. This was done with oils. These are from my Dol Amroth army. So Terry the oil just has a whole lot of advantages. Obviously there's the blending stuff for sure, no doubt about that. The other fun little side advantages are that it's really durable. So your miniatures themselves, especially if it's for stuff for games like this and all of our other stuff, it's going to really be able to take a hit. It's going to be very, very, very rugged. The oil paints are also far more, way more heavily pigmented than the acrylics. So your darks will be darker. You're going to be able to get some really nice, intense colors. Sort of like what we did here for our Prinkles, the Imperial War Kitty, or even this here with some very intense greens. Interior, definitely way more control with the oils. So stuff like this, freehand, right? This was all done wet into wet with the oil paints. We did these actually on stream last March. And again, yeah, the freehand just is so much easier to do with the oil paints because you can make adjustments to it very easily along the way. A lot of corrections. And they work well for obviously large scale things. We've done some really, really big stuff. And then of course obviously something like this, which is a much smaller scale. Hey Blazing Tree Terrain, how you doing? Nice to see ya. I hope that your week is off to a really great start, of course. Thank you so much, Blazing Tree Terrain. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. Terry, what's fun is on Thursdays, every once in a while, we will treat ourselves to some 2D art as well. So there's Ascilius or Spacescapes. Let's see. Oh, here's this is the most recent one that we did here. So this is done with the oil paints because years and years ago, actually 2D art, that's what I did. So thank you so much, Blazing Tree Terrain. Appreciate that. Blazing Tree, it has definitely been very challenging. Obviously, the last 8 months, well, 9 months now. Actually, it's getting to be closer to a year. Yeah, it's actually more like it's more like 9.5 months now. Thanks, Terry. So I used to work with pastels back in the day, watercolors, and of course oils. Again, the oil's very, very fun, and those side benefits of the fact that they're super durable to the point where you don't necessarily have to put any varnish on them to try and preserve your paint job. We're gonna need yeah. We need to do something over here. Where's my blue? There we go. And this is the other thing again. See, I can make a nice little adjustment right there, very, very quickly. Let that just mix in there. So Terry, I just do this all straight in. Let's see, 1 hour 57 minutes ago, this had no paint on it. It was basically this. It was just that primer color there. So we do it all straight away. I think this was what, about a 3.5 hour stream, something like that, again, start to finish. And here's another. This also was done with the oil paints. And this was about, I think, 3 hour stream, something like that, again, start to finish. So no gesso, we just use the StinoRes primer, and we just brush that stuff on. And it's this is all I use. And the nice thing is there's about 24 different, at least, maybe more now, 24 different colors of primers, so you can sort of mix your own color shade if that's what you want to do. And that's why when we start out, we put darker colors on here. We wipe those away. It's just like blocking in colors on one of my regular oil paintings. Then we take something like a filbert brush and we just dry brush new color into that, lighter color into that. And then we start to work in our details, alternating between thicker and thinner. And of course, always having a very light touch on the brush. Thank you so much for that follow. Ictier, appreciate that. And along comes Ganem. He says, so screwing around at the gate, not a good idea. Speak, friend, and enter really quickly before this guy nabs you. So all kidding aside, I do have to find my old, let's see, I think it was Printing Goes Ever On, and Kurzlik both did their version of Watcher in the Water. I think I printed out both of them. I know I printed out the Printing Goes Ever On Watcher in the Water. Oh, here we go. Here we gotta get some of our lighter green down in here. Again, letting that mix with what's already on the miniature. Thank you so much, Victor. I appreciate that. Hopefully I pronounced the name correctly. Ganteri, if people treat these like they are super slow drying acrylics or something like that, then they will make mud. You also, the other thing too is to actually, well, work on multiple things at the same time so that you're not constantly having at the same area over and over again, because that will overwork things really quickly. And of course, well, here's some of our older 2D stuff. This is what I used to do back in the day before there was miniatures. So that's a watercolor on hot press watercolor board. So is that. We'll get into some pastels here. Always did love pastels. Don't get to do those anymore. That was actually an acrylic painting. That was an oil painting I did when I was 13. Sure wish I knew then what I know now. Back into some watercolors here again on hot press watercolor board. So those are some of our older 2D art there, and you can see that on the blog. Lots of different articles on the blog. Here, let me get back to my scene. Now we've got this, again, this is the radiant green right here. We're going to see if we can't pop in a couple of nice areas of radiant green here. Now this needs actually to mix back to a little bit more towards the blue here. A little Prussian blue in that. Terry, unfortunately, I had to kind of give up on the pastels because, well, it was very difficult to make prints of those. And that's basically what it was, that I was selling prints, so that made the pastels sadly kind of impractical. You know what? That should probably get some blue reflected light right there. Maybe some down in here. And again, the reflections, big part of, especially the non-metallic metal stuff. Let me see here. I think I'm also gonna try and, yeah, we need to get some darks along the edges of these things. Oh gosh, what are we gonna use here? Some brown matter, maybe a little bit of the Indian yellow. Is this dark enough? Yes, it is just dark enough to establish an edge there. So the various oil paints, they'll have different consistencies. The opaque colors, those are going to be pretty darn thick. For the most part, your darker colors, those will not be opaque. They will be more translucent. Although even that's kind of a bit of a misnomer there. And just because the paint is thicker doesn't necessarily mean it's opaque, like Indian yellow. It's one of the thickest paints out there. It's also one of the most translucent colors out there. And that can be sort of confusing for folks that are getting into oils for the first time. Is that they're sort of used to the acrylics where, okay, if it's a dark color, that's going to cover. And if it's a lighter color, it won't, when it's actually kind of the other way around. And then, well, here, even with our, well, here, we've got this example here, the yellow, very easy to paint with the oil paints because, and the Indian yellow was a critical part of the pre-glaze right on this area. This is one of our tutorial videos that I did. And then over here, that's the naphthol red, the same red that you see here in the tentacles. But all it took was that little bit of the lighter brilliant yellow, pale, radiant yellow, or whatever, to all of a sudden take that Indian yellow to something really very intensely bright. But something like a quinacridone magenta, that's going to be super, super translucent. Thank you so much, Bench Guy. I appreciate that. So it's interesting. Actually, yeah, I actually have some warm tea here now. No, we wanted to get some here, a little bit more of the brown matter. Brown matter, that's another color that's also more on the translucent side. But if you're working with it in the correct way, it can actually cover. So just because it's maybe innately more translucent doesn't mean that it can't actually cover. And I'm going to actually throw some more darks along the edges of this here. We need to, there we go. That's as much about sharpening the edge as it is just about making it light or dark. And of course, with the oils, the nice thing is that you can also do metallic. All of this is metallic oils, just like our, oh, here we go. Just like our Gondorian warrior here. Again, that's all TMM. But if you want to do the non-metallic version, of course, you can certainly do that. And here we have, this is from Highland Miniatures. We did a whole army painting series on these. That's all with the non-metallic metal. So thanks again, Benchka. I appreciate that. As far as the drying time goes, it will depend on the colors that you use. Now, if you're using a whole bunch of white or if you're using cadmium colors, then it could take a while for things to dry. Now this, maybe the red might take a little bit longer to dry on this, but well, this thing was basically dry the next day. This will be mostly dry the next day, if not entirely dry. And then, of course, this thing was certainly dry the next day. So within 12 to 24 hours should be dry. Now again, it will depend. So it will depend on the colors that you use. We also use things like the fast matte white. We also use the radiant colors, which for whatever reason tend to make any colors that they are mixed with also tend to dry a little bit faster. I don't use any kind of mediums or alkyds or anything like that. Just regular straight up oil paint. I guess I could still try to get some more of my lighter stuff down in there. You know what? I'm actually going to separate these here a little bit more. There we are. Actually, Terry, the same principles that go into 2D art are really critical for the miniatures, blocking in paints. Again, if you check out my Instagram, I actually also have some of the painting. The 2D art is also on my YouTube channel. I have a ton of painting videos on the YouTube channel. But everything is blocked in with the oil paint on the miniature just as it would be if I was doing this. And you can see, where's my painting of the wolf here? So you can see it's almost done like a watercolor right there. The entire thing was blocked in. None of this detail was anything like this when we first started. It was first drawn in very much like a sketch. Then we blocked in where some of the darks were going to be. And then we started to work in more elaborately in the mid-tones and such. Thank you so much, Armored Wolf, for posting the link to the YouTube channel. They will also have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos on the Patreon page. If there's not 1,300 hours worth of videos on there, there soon will be. And of course, we've certainly painted plenty of wolf miniatures. This was a little color theory exercise. That was just a little value study. Took Van Dyke Brown and Brilliant Yellow Pale, and those are the only colors that we used on that. Basically, the miniature itself, that provides you That's your canvas there, and you have to think of center of interest. You have to think about again, areas of light and dark, foreground, middle ground, background. Just like here, right? A foreground and a middle ground, and we had to do the color contrast, right? The object source lighting is that fiery orange color, but everything else is a much more grayed down color. Composition is just as important with miniatures as it is with a 2D painting. Of course, with the miniature, you've got to push the shading, because even though it's 3D and it will have some of its own innate shading, you've got to push that much further. So Terry, it's something that well, obviously oil painters, working on canvas, they might take something very simple, something along the lines of a burnt umber or raw umber, something like that, and put basically a big wash of it on the canvas, and then wipe part of it away with a paper towel, and then start painting into that. Here, it's a little bit more targeted. Obviously, we use blues and blue greens on the water. Here was more of our Egyptian violet and naphthol red. And then when it came up here, we're using more of an Indian yellow. And then again, wiped it away with the sponges. Now, of course, with oil paints, certain colors are what we call staining. Other colors are not. Tend to focus on more of the staining colors when it comes to the oils and that pre-glaze, as we call it. So Terry, all you have to do, again, you could watch this one too, because this obviously all of these are saved as highlights, so you can go back and watch the beginning of this, and all of the other, again, all my other Twitch sessions, they're all saved kind of like a YouTube channel. And it goes from the very beginning all the way to the end. Again, I wish that I could do like a playlist like I can for YouTube. Can't do that, but I do have thumbnails, so you can at least look at the thumbnail and see what it is that's being painted in that particular session. So this is a case of thin over thick. Now, part of the reason why the paint that's already here is thicker is because that was the stuff we dry brushed down with the filbert brush. That's also been sitting there about a good hour and something since we last painted on it. So I'm just James Wapple on YouTube. And Armored Wolf actually threw a link up into the chat there, so you can see it. It's right there in the chat. And if you want to see examples of painted things, you can just check out Wapelius on Instagram, just like I am Wapelius here on the Twitch channel. And again, the idea is to minimize the amount of paint that you're using at any one time. And we have several examples of the 2D art here on the channel. So, and it's funny because you'll hear me say all the same exact things, even though we are painting a piece of 2D art instead of a miniature. Because what makes one work is the same thing that's going to make the other one be just as successful. I'm going to see if I can't go a little bit darker. Maybe Van Dyke Brown here on this on the carapace there. So Van Dyke Brown. You know what? Maybe just a smidge. Oh, Perline Black. That's that dark green. Yeah, there we go. And just really try and get some nice hefty dark down in there. So again, Perline Black, dark green, and Van Dyke Brown. It makes this one area a nice little bit of neutrality where we've got a lot of intensity in these colors. So you have to balance the neutrality and the intensity. That's very true with our object source lighting, right? It's not actually the lights and darks that really make the big difference. The big difference is actually it's all in the color contrast. Yep, on Instagrams. So again, Wapelius on Instagram, just like I am Wapelius here on Twitch. And there will be lots and lots of pictures of miniatures and also some paintings. That's generally where I have pictures of finished miniatures. Now when it comes to all the armies and such, I have been trying to make it where I can actually film some reels because it'd be a little bit easier to actually see entire armies as a reel instead of as just still images on the Instagrams. I also have the blog, which has hundreds and hundreds of articles, a lot of step-by-step articles. And I believe, yep, I'm Wapelius on that blog too. Let me do what the heck, I'm going to throw a little dark there and there. And the Perline black, some of the Van Dyke brown here. Not just dark, but also edge contrast. That's one of the sneaky important things when it comes to, say, non-metallic or even true metallic metals. Because if you remember that bust that I did, that basically was split in half. We did half of it in true metallic, the other half in non-metallic. Most people cannot tell the difference between the two. Why? Because reflected light, reflected color, that's what makes things look like metal. So yeah, when people buy non-metallic metal sets, well, you better hope that that set was designed for somebody that's wearing a red cloak or a blue cloak or something like that, if that's what they're wearing. Now this does have some thinner on the brush here, but not, obviously not so much that it becomes a pin line wash. You know what, that needs a bit of a sharper edge right there. Also here, yeah, these are a little bit, those edges aren't terribly strong. Oh, what the heck, I'll darken up that line there too. Not quite sure if that's meant to be some kind of a deck out there. Throwing a little bit of dark there, but now I'm actually going to take some of this Perline black. That'll make it a greenish gray there. Terry, yeah, if you could shoot me a note there on Instagram or something like that with a link to your Instas, and I could see what you do. Yeah, we have a whole bunch of Book of Wapple sayings all about contrast and all the different forms of contrast. I mean, value contrast, obviously, that's the one that gets the most attention, but even things like color contrast, once again, what makes that blue stand out is that's a very intense blue, whereas all around it, you have very grayed down, warmer colors. That's what makes that stand out. Same thing with our magenta light over here. That stands out more because everything else around it is a much cooler, kind of a grayish violet, whereas the magenta is very, very high chroma. Well, Terry, thank you so much for lurking. Especially lurking while working, right? Because that's a fun thing to be able to get some work done but also be able to lurk and hang out. Let's go with some dark here. So I'm sure you've heard some of those Book of Wapol sayings. The contrast is more than just light versus dark. And boy, those different forms of color contrast really are critical. Here's again the kind of a grayish green up here. And in some ways, it's like we're bringing a little bit of the sea color all the way up to here. Like so. Well, thanks so much, Terry. Appreciate that. And I do hope that people, they're able to see these things, and it gives them some ideas for their own projects. And then maybe it makes that project go a little bit easier, go a little bit faster. And they're able to get more enjoyment out of the painting, because I mean, ultimately that's really an important thing, is to have some enjoyment out of this. Oh, that's good, Terry. And of course, Terry, well, now you, unlike when I was doing 2D art way back in the day, if there had been something like Twitch back in 2001, I might never have become a miniature painter. I might have still been painting 2D art. So there's lots of things like Instagram, Facebook, so many interesting ways of potentially making your living doing the art without necessarily having to just rely on selling paintings at art shows. That just really wasn't an option way back in the day. But hopefully you can utilize all the different the social media aspects of things and translate that into being able to do some art as a living. Yeah, it'll definitely be a challenge, no doubt about it. But it should be very worthwhile. Now let me see if I can keep going here with some... I'm going to have to grab me a cough drop pretty soon here. That's right. Oh, yeah, these also need to be much lighter on the edges right here. Thought I was missing something there. Okay, let me just grab another cough drop here real quick. And let's see, yep, 2 hours, 23 minutes. That's all it's taken so far. And we've been able to really start to dive down into some more detail type areas too. Remember at one point where this was just the pre-glaze, and of course the pre-glaze, it looks kind of on the messy side. It's not going to happen instantaneously. As the Book of Wapol says, it must be messy before it can be neat. So yep, Terry from Chicago here. So it is 11:15 in the Central Time Zone. Oh, we better catch some light here. Right along this edge. There we go. Alright, well, bench guy, you have yourself a good one. Sorry that you had all those phone calls to field there. But thanks for the gift subs and the bitses and the cheers and such. Appreciate that, bench guy. And, well, Thursday should be... Well, that'll be more of our usual... That's going to be the late night time. But hopefully, the Friday and Saturday ones, they'll be earlier like this one here. So in Ontario... So after midnight there. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on a late evening. Thank you so much, Bench Guy. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. Ah, actually, Terry, I don't know if you saw the Christmas ornaments that we painted on stream. Actually, the last two Christmases we've done that. And of course, you can see the one where we're painting Earth. And that's fun because we go through hour by hour and we celebrate New Year and all the different time zones. And whenever we have a person coming in, we head over to their part of the globe and we enjoy a little bit of New Year's cheer with them. So yeah, I painted a whole bunch of planets for Christmas ornaments. Those were very fun. So were the little, even more miniature uh, landscapes of Middle Earth that we also painted on some ornaments. I've actually used the Pebeo, the ceramic paint, which that was pretty wild. Painting that actually on ceramic tiles, pieces of slumped glass. Now that's a medium that's going to be very permanent because, well, unless you sit there and shatter that tile, it's going to last for quite some time. This is about, I think, as light as I can get with the orange of the, well, skin tone, I guess, if you want to call it that. I think let's go a couple more over on this side too. There we go. So I think our next one, maybe we'll tackle the the turtle and the angler fishy. Yeah, bench guy, the old NORAD Santa tracker. Oh, that's right. The one time years ago, where the parents, we were hanging out with them on Christmas Eve, and they asked if I would basically kind of sign certain letters from a certain individual, and I did it with calligraphy. And boy, obviously that they went absolutely insane for that because they were not used to seeing calligraphy. So that had them very much convinced that a certain individual had signed those notes for them. Of course, now it's very advantageous between the 3D printing and things like Reaper miniatures where they have, well, nicely cast miniatures but at a much lower price. So things like the Bones miniatures, that's those are very handy again because they're much less expensive, so you don't feel quite maybe as pressurized to get a certain result. Yeah, Minchkai interior, that was, I was not quite expecting that. Then of course that had to be a Christmas tradition for a while because now it's kind of locked into doing that. I mean, I might throw a little bit more of our violet down there. So let's get the orange out of that brush there. Oh, and by the way, just using the brush cleaner here. Again, it works for acrylic, it works for oils. Not using any thinner. The thinner is just there to thin the paint, which is why we have this tiny little water bottle cap with the high quality thinner. And that's it. That's all we're using the thinner for. Guys, well, I hope that you had a lot of success with the airbrushing, of course. Lots of success there. I'll just use this, I suppose, as a blending brush here. So this is another reason, again, why we don't have to mix lots of colors, because we are using this as our palette right here. Yeah, Terry, it's funny, I was teaching some folks watercolor so that they could do illuminated manuscripts along with their calligraphy. And they always called me a closet calligrapher. And they always wanted me to do more calligraphy. I always enjoyed doing calligraphy. Wish I could do more of it. Now this side doesn't really have too much of the green out here in some areas, so I'm going to try and get a little bit more of that out here. Hey Chaos, how you doing? Guys, I hope that works out fantastic for you. Sounds like that's going to be really, really fun. So thanks Chaos. Yeah, we're finally getting back into some Armada stuff. These are the, oh here we go. So the Trident Realm fleet. Obviously working on this guy, so I think next time we'll hit maybe these two, the fishy and the turtle, because I think that could be a blast. It's got a little bit more of the radiant green in it, and some of these need to be brightened up a little bit more, I think. Oh guys, I'm glad that you can apply the painting class lessons. They're even better. Yeah, let's do a little bit more of our green down here. That's just a bunch of lines here. We need to make that into some shapes. Bench guy, I'm glad that you're able to get another one. And hopefully that behaves again. Not like that, not like the one pad that you got. My goodness, that was so much extra trouble for you to set up. But I have to somehow get that Mono X underway, because there's so many larger scale things that I need to print. Not just dragons and such, but there's actually some vehicles and other things that I would love to be able to paint on stream and in tutorial videos. You know what, let me see. This is going to be a much lighter green here. I'm going to try and throw this just to one part of the eye here. Right there. And then a little bit of that over there. So you somehow have to get that Mono X going. I might try to do that next week. Well, no, I guess towards the end of this week, I just realized. Hey, Upcarth Games, how you doing? Thanks so much for joining us here. Yeah, guys, I'm less enamored of the hollow prints as I was. Basically, unless it's Archvillain or maybe printing goes ever on. I used to hollow things myself. If it's something really, really simple, I'll go ahead and hollow it, but I'd almost rather just use the extra resin, especially because of using the Soraya Simple. That can be a little bit of a hassle with hollowed out prints, because you cannot wash and cure that stuff. It has to be absolutely 100% bone dry before you cure it. And obviously with a hollowed out piece, it can be very difficult even over the course of 2-3 days to get that to dry completely on the inside. And it also will depend on the interior geometry, because there are times where just because you can hollow out something doesn't necessarily mean that you should. And as Landrast says right there, that's kind of that's more where I'm at. Use the resin, save on the pain. I'm glad you got that dialed in, guys. That's not the part that I'm looking forward to with the Mono X. Well, I'm pretty much going to use whatever the most conservative settings are for it anyways, so Let me see if I can't get a little bit more of my violet here. Oh, and there's actually some more of these. See if I can lighten this up a bit more here. Hey, Dr. Gunn. Nice to see ya. Yeah, so Dr. Gunn, we've painted a whole bunch of Armada ships here on the channel. Basically done every single fleet except for the dwarves. So we did a whole Twilight Kin fleet. We did a Northern Alliance fleet. Basileans, Salamanders, Orcs, Empire of Dust. Oh, the Elves, of course. There's our Elf fleet that we did. And there's a little sampling of some of the different fleets that we did. There's our Empire of Dust, Basileans, and we also did the Orcs too. But I have some dwarf ships, so I'll try and get those painted too. Hey Doji, nice to see ya. So Terry, this is, well, actually, believe it or not, this is 3D printed. They sent it to me because they don't have the cast ones to send out yet. Thank you so much, Sarge. Appreciate the shamrocks there. Thanks, Dr. Gunn. Appreciate that. That was very, very fun. Of course, the oils make freehand so much easier because you can make those adjustments to it. Also, too, you can make the paint much thinner, right? Because oil is thinner than water. Water has a tension point, so it's so much easier to do the freehand. So, Sarge, I hope that your work day went well. I assume it's a work Monday for you. So hopefully your day was passed by somewhat quickly. Because what's 11:28 for us now. So I'm not sure if you're back at the casa having some chow. So Doji, I hope that your Tuesday is off to a great start. And Doji, oh, I did another video for the Patreon page. I thought I could upload this before the stream, just wasn't enough time. But oh, and Laminas, I tried doing the stuff with the clear resin and the flashlight. That was a horrible failure. That did not work at all, unfortunately. A couple of things happened. The flashlight couldn't get down. It just basically kind of did the outer crust, and then there was no way for it to drip down like I thought it could. It either cured it too fast or not fast enough. Basically, what it did was it cured a bunch of the stuff to a brush that I tried using. So yeah, unfortunately, that was very much a failure. Sadly. Yeah, Doji, well, you'll enjoy that part where the resin stuff does not succeed whatsoever. Sorry, Laminas, I meant to mention that way sooner. I was actually going to try and send you a message tomorrow about that. Yeah, unfortunately, it just did not work at all. I was a little bit disappointed, which you will hear in the tutorial. You will be able to hear my displeasure. So fried rice and some smoked sausage sounds fantastic there, Sarge. Doji, I hope that you can get that priming in too. I know it's not the most glamorous of tasks, but one that still has to happen, right? Actually, here, this actually has a little bit of the radiant violet in it. So don't say that I never try new things and never try experiments. Yeah, Laminas, it was one of those things where, and I think I was a little bit surprised that it didn't get down in there and really cure everything. Because it was not that deep. I mean, it was, I don't even know if I have anything that represents the thickness of it. It really wasn't that much thicker than, say, this piece right here. That was about as thick as what I was trying to cure. But boy, it didn't want to cure that. So Dr. Gunn, we use the Gamlet Radiant colors all the time. They're a big part of the palette. Using those all the time. Don't really use the Radiant Lemon. I have Brilliant Yellow Pale. That's why I don't use that one. I mean, the Radiant White, I haven't had a chance to use that yet, but all the other Radiant colors are... Well, I haven't used the Radiant Red too much, actually. So yeah, the Mono X, we'll try and get that set up maybe later this week. I don't know. But we'll see. We just need more cooperation from the situation here. I'm going to go back to the violet here. Throw a little bit of lighter violet on that part right there. This violet down here, that's a little too dark. And yeah, same thing over here. Again, we're going back to our violet here. And let that mix, but that's still some of the original pre-glaze that's down in there. Something wicked certainly comes this way. That would be Wicked Mini Painting. Everybody please give Wicked Mini Painting a follow. Sorry about that. Again, Wicked Mini Painting, great to see you. If you want to post any work in progress or any Instagram, Discord links in the chat, things you've been working on, you know the deal. It's fine to post those. We're working on the new Armada fleet here. This is called the Trident Realms. And oh, there you go. Here's the guy that we're working on right now. Started him 2 hours 41 minutes ago. He was just primer, like Mr. Anglerfish over here. So again, this is from Mantic. It's our Armada game, and this is their brand new fleet. Here's some of the previous ships that we painted. We've done so many different fleets here on stream. That's the Twilight Kin, aka Dark Elves, and then here's the Northern Alliance fleet. A little bit of freehand on the sails there. So again, yeah, Wicked Mini Painting. What were you painting on stream? And I guess were you trying to hammer through some stuff for Adepticon? I know a lot of people are. Gonna try and get a little bit of our lighter violet down in here. Just a touch of it. So yeah, Dr. Gunn, I know that Halligan was using the Radiant White. I'm not sure if maybe Grim Nation Hobbies was using the Radiant White or not. I think he might have been. So the Ghoul King from Sigmar. And again, Wicked Mini Painting, if you have any work in progress of that, or if you're going to skedaddle off to the photo booth or something like that, if you wanted to post some pictures of that, I'm sure that'd be fantastic. So well, that's good, Wicked Mini Painting. I mean, you don't want to be pushing yourself too hard right up to Adepticon there, of course. And again, everybody please give Wicked Mini Painting a follow. We've also been painting some Kings of War stuff, like a bunch of Halfling stuff. We painted this up on stream last week, the Halfling Harvester. That was a lot of fun. We'll get our flock and foliage on that. So I'm going to try and get some more of my lighter. Maybe I'll just put some more of the... So this is the fast matte white that I've been using. And Sarge, these things really have been working fantastic. Absolutely love those things. And they were nice and cheap. Weren't they, what, about $6 for 3 of them or whatever? Alright, let me get a little bit of my thinner on this here, just that'll break that down over time. I wonder if does Unexpected Painting also use the Radiant White? I think Pun uses that. I was just about to say, I think Maybe Unexpected Painting uses the Radiant White, but I couldn't be sure. Okay, I'm gonna try and lighten up some of these areas here in the wake. Might need to try and get some darker colors also underneath here. Maybe some of the brown matter or whatever. Okay, yeah, here, look, throw a couple little areas of light out here. Not too much. We don't want to destroy all of the darks that we've worked into this. I think we'll throw some more white up here. Oh yeah, see, this is an area. It's been a while since we last worked in this area. And you can see the paint really sticks there very nicely. Let's see if we can create some sort of a wave here. Like that. Maybe more of our green. That's the phthalo green. Let's take our blending brush to it. Which side will we use? I guess we'll just use this side. Some phthalo and maybe some of the Prussian blue here too. There, so softens the edge of that. Not quite so intense. Hey, Real Denethor, how you doing? Hey, X/Minis, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Again, here's some of our other ships that we have worked on. We've done an entire elf fleet. Where did you guys go? There you are. And of course, there's a little bit of a combo. There's your you got your Basileans and your Empire of Dust out there. Here's some more Empire of Dust. Those are, I think, the first ships that we ever painted on the channel. And then I remember that gigantic Basilean Dictator. This was also huge. This big old orc ship right there. And then again, we've done several fleets, including the Lizardmen. Well, guys, you have a good night's sleep. Thanks for being here, and I'm glad that you had some success working on things tonight. And hopefully that continues for you. Real Denethor, this is more like the kind of Monday we would prefer, where there's not very much Monday. Yeah, it was manageable Monday. That's I guess what we can call it. It was more of a manageable Monday. Thank goodness. Because there's been way too much of the regular Monday, hasn't there? And again, these are going to be very interesting. Seeing these all together in a group compared to the usual fleets. And I'll try and get a bunch of these, the other ships ready. Oh, I even have this one too. The Sea Serpent there. And some of the other, like the water effects type, I don't know, whatever those are. I don't have the cards though. I have the ships, but not the cards. So yeah, Real Denethor, this was the first Monday hangout that she's done in probably 3 weeks or something like that. That's what enabled us to actually get an earlier start here. And I'm hoping that'll be the case for Friday and Saturday as well. I think Thursday will be the usual later start time. Not quite sure what I'll be working on any of those days. It could be some more Mantic things. It could be, who knows. You know, I need to get a little bit of my light down in here too. I just realized that. And this is the handy thing about the oils, is not only can I just throw some of this down in here, but it'll actually mix with some of the other stuff that's already down here. Now, what about... Yep, I'm going to try and get more of the lighter violet here. See if we can make this work. Guess it's going to need a little bit more thinner. Ah, that's just... There we go. Sometimes you just have to make a little adjustment on the thinner. Maybe less, maybe more. I know people, they'll ask me, they say, how much, how much should you thin it, or this or that or the other, formulas. There's no formulas. Not only is it going to depend entirely on what colors are already there, it's going to depend on just how you have applied the previous layers too, and that's going to also dictate. Thank you so much, Cheddar Mini Painting. I appreciate that. Oh, gee whiz. So, you're another one of those things, oh, good grief. Melker, what were you up to, man? Seriously? This is something that should be on a plate. Like, wait a minute, what is that I just heard? Well, Gandalf is just, he's going to cause all kinds of problems here. Because, of course, he was not satisfied with the accommodations aboard these very tiny ships. He insisted that he would never sail west on those. Denethor, it's pretty nice. I'm trying to think, the last, was it Northern Alliance or was it one of the Lizard Man? I think it was one of the Lizard Man ships. Was probably the last one that I had a chance to paint. And I would like to, well, obviously it won't be at Adepticon necessarily, but I would like to have at least as much as I can painted of this Trident Realms fleet here. Oh, there's, oh, the whale. That's right, I got the whale. He's almost ready to go. So where is our Sam right here? There he is. He's like, he's gonna smell a little bit fishy, but if I got some taters, seriously, you're gonna serve me with potatoes? There's our Samwise. And of course, Gandalf has a little bit of a bone to pick with him. This whole idea that the gardener is the hero of the story. Gandalf is not super enthused about that. Now, the irony is, I had not had my rum ration, because obviously we still got the honey water here. So hopefully by the next Armada Monday we have our usual rum ration. Because that's not quite the same thing. But I tried, I thought maybe that would actually help with the voice when I was filming that thing last night, and that did not seem to help whatsoever. It seemed to be the opposite. So that's why we just kind of said, guess we're not doing our rum ration tonight. Now here we got to do something. Is that water that's in there? I'm gonna have to, maybe that is just supposed to be water down in there. All right, well, whatever. Here, let's do this. And maybe it won't completely wipe out the reddish color there. You know what? Radiant turquoise. And some of this. And again, I'm going to take the brush, just stick that down there. And of course, it's all mixing together. This is, well, there was no sub-assembly for this. You're not going to be doing any sub-assembly on these ships. The oils, that's another advantage that they have, where you don't have to with the sub-assembly stuff, you can really get down into some hard-to-reach areas and yet still get blending in there. Because, well, this is all wet into wet, right? So it's going to be blending. Thanks, Bench Guy. Yeah, it was a little bit of a bummer last night that the voice was a bit pesky while I was filming. But glad that it's worked out here. Maybe here, because I'm not so worried about every single cough and whatever as on the recorded video. Yeah, that was... I think we did need to get some of that lighter stuff down in there. The downside was we basically had to spend almost 8 days of not talking at all. And by not talking, I mean not even whispering. Basically, the only way Kathy and I communicated was just by sending Facebook messengers things to each other, even if we were standing right next to each other. Because she tried pushing her voice sooner than I did, and that really that set her back a good 5 days or so, maybe 6 days, because she was 2 days ahead of me with this, because she was the one that got it and then passed it to me. Well, I hope that's not too light. No, not too late. Lots of crazy chompers going in every which direction here. Yeah, Bench Guide today was the first time she's been able to do one of those hangouts pretty much since she got zapped by this thing. That's been a long time. Those are things that she really looks forward to. So I was glad she could finally do one of those. This could be later too. Maybe here on this, if that's part of the deck or not, not sure. There's a couple, yeah, we need some more edges lightened up on this, the upper reaches here. Like that. Here too. This. There we go. I knew there was something on these edges I was forgetting. Oh, and I also want to thank everybody that helped out with the computers, the Surface Pro and such. Today was actually the very first video that I was able to edit and render on a machine that's not the usual old machine. So I was able to actually edit a video while being in the room with Kathy. So many thanks for all the folks that contributed to that. I'm just going to get a little bit more of the Prussian blue there. And also maybe a little bit more dark right up here too. Hey Hixie, nice to see you again. How are you doing? So yeah, Benchka, anything, it does help, even if it's something that takes place, in the future or whatever, because obviously this situation it'll be an ongoing thing for a long time to come. So we'll definitely will be needing support for some time to come, so we appreciate that. So Hixie, I hope that you had a blast with your stream the other night, and that you're able to get a decent amount of stuff done. And everybody, please give Hixie666 that follow. Of course, Hixie, if you want to post any Instagram links to things that you've been doing on stream and such, sure that'd be fantastic for people to see in the chat there. And of course, thanks to all the painters that are that charity raffle, the Battle for Kathy there. We appreciate all the painters that are participating in that. Now, I knew there was some edges missing along here. I thought it was maybe because I wasn't getting this light enough. No, it's just the opposite. We didn't have some of the dark in there. So again, everybody, please give Hixie that follow. And let me get a little bit of a... there we go. That's too much light there, all in one place. Alright, so everybody, please check out the link that Hixie just shared. And again, while you're at it, also, too, please give Hixie a follow if you can. Do we need to darken that just a little bit? That was kind of a, again, that was a line. It wasn't much of a shape there. I suppose that could be, yeah, let's make this edge a little lighter here. It's actually got a little bit of our violet on there. And I guess, I don't know, that might be too light. Oh, no problem, Hixie. And just, it was nice to be able to do the raid the other day. All of us late night / early morning painters. I swear, at some point I would really like to be able to do a daytime stream, something that's starting more like at 1 or 2 or something like that. That would surprise the heck out of everybody. That would really surprise folks if I was to be able to do something like that. It would certainly surprise Armored Wolf. I'd have to let him know well in advance. I think the earliest I've ever streamed was maybe 2 o'clock or something Central Time. And that was for a special thing for ReaperCon. Other than that, I don't think it's I don't think I've been able to do much earlier streams than that. Okay, what about this? See, we're gonna clean this up over here, right along that side. What about over here? No, not so much with the purple. Maybe. So we're kind of in between here. So we'll take the radiant blue and the radiant violet here. Maybe that's too much. And the idea is that the sea, the color of the sea and that foamy water there is impacting the tentacle a little bit. Thanks, Hixie. It's just so different from the regular ships. It's going to be very interesting to see this fleet with all different fishies and sea serpents and such compared to our other fleets that we did here. And then, of course, well, we'll have to get out I actually have a mat that's an ocean mat, and we'll have to get the fleets out there and, well, make some kind of appropriate terrain for it. Yep. Do some more along here. Like so. So Hixie there, from Mantic I think it was maybe last year. No, maybe it was a year and a half ago. And here's again some of the other ships. Where's our elf ships here? Where are they? There's our elf ships. And this is a little mix of Empire of Dust and the Basilean fleet. There's some more Empire of Dust. And there's your Basileans. There's the Orc fleet. We've also done some Lizardman ships. Haven't had a chance to do the Dwarf ships yet. Hixie, it's kind of like they did Dreadfleet the way Dreadfleet should have been done all those years ago. Actually, Kathy and I did paint a few Dreadfleet ships. It was part of, well, ironically enough, a charity raffle at Adepticon. I do have the Dreadfleet box. There was another box that I think it was just given away at a certain point. And I actually used the Dreadfleet mat actually to take the picture that you saw there of the two combined fleets, using a little bit of the radiant violet there. I think I had to paint the big Empire ship. I forget what Kathy painted it. I think she might have painted the big Vampire Count ship. And that was all part of a. I think that was maybe though the. Speaking of mats, I think that was. The folks that do the mats for Adepticon, that would be Table War. Taking a little bit of that bluish violet color here. Working that into some of the mid-tone, some of the shadow areas. And again, 3 hours, 6 minutes ago, this was, it was literally this color primer. That's all it was. So we got this crazy angler fishy here. I guess we'll be doing some object source lighting with that. Oh, geez, Bench Guy, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Here, let me actually try a little bit of my, that's just the ginger ale right there. So thanks, Bench Guy, appreciate that. Like I said, it's going to be needed for some time yet to come, so it is appreciated. Alright, I think I don't want to go too much later on the carapace there. What about this? Maybe there's some more of the bluish water effect we could do in here. I don't know, is this too light? It's right over here. Again, you can see how we're holding this brush closer to the end of the brush and to the front of the brush. So thank you so much, Bench Guy. Appreciate that. And like I said, that's going to make a big difference for us. Oh, wait a minute. Here we go. Let's get some of that on the... Just trying to get that on the inside of some of these tentacles here. And a little bit of light there. Like so. And maybe I'll just use our blending brush here real quick and take some of the edges off of that. Here again, a kind of a bluish green, seafoam green. Now put that down over here. We have sort of a very light and then much darker water, so we're going to try and get some mid-tone in here. Like so. So one thing I will be doing tonight, in addition to, well, uploading the new video, is I will be washing off a bunch of resin. There's a whole ton of that stuff that I never got a chance to wash off. From stuff that I printed weeks ago. Again, it's almost like a marble here. So we're trying to have, it looks almost like regular waves, and then this is sort of advancing through, cutting through those waves. Maybe more the phthalo green. Yeah, that was, it's getting to be a little bit on the bluish. There we go. And over here too. Let me see, do I have any? Ah, good. I got one more cough drop left here. Hey, Kagomez Fury, how you doing? Everybody, please give Kagomez Fury a follow. And Kagomez Fury, if you want to share any of your pics and such, your Instagram and Discord and Etsy and such, things that you've been working on stream, of course, that'd be fabulous. So, yeah, I don't think you've had a chance to see any of the Armada ships yet. This is the return of Armada Mondays. So hopefully next Monday we'll be able to also be painting some more Armada ships. Well, Doji, I hope you have yourself a good work day that goes fast. I know it's going to be a long work day for you, but hopefully it passes quickly enough. Hey there, Lethal Shadows. Everybody please give Lethal Shadows Gaming a follow. And of course, everybody, not only does Lethal Shadows take care of all of your 3D printing needs, but they also have miniature holders, brushes, all sorts of fun additional products. And again, not just the STL files, of which there's about 25,000. So hopefully, well, I know you're not recovered from ECCC there, Lethal Shadows, but hopefully, hopefully you're still upright. Hopefully you're still upright, and I'm hoping that it was a massive success for you. I'm sure that it was. I just know that you put so much effort into that. I just wanted to make sure, well, we were hoping that that was going to work out the way you wanted it to. So I thought so. Now, actually, Lethal Shadows, remember we were talking about those, the padded stuff, the rubber pads and stuff that you throw down on the floor. I wasn't sure. Well, you have so much other stuff to bring with you. It's like, how do you even bring that too? There's like no way to bring all of it, everything that you would need. So Benchka, thank you so much for following folks to it. It really is great because Twitch is just it's a fantastic community, and they've always been really generous and always have helped us even before all this crazy stuff was going on. So yeah, just about to have to ship everything off to PAX East. And so Lethal Shadows, if you want to let people know if they are going to PAX, where your booth is going to be and such. Now let me see, do I go darker here? Do I go lighter? I don't know. Let me see if I can go a little lighter here. That's the brilliant yellow pale, some of the radiant green. So PAX East tabletop area open nightly until midnight. Let's see. So again, everybody please give Lethal Shadows Gaming a follow. And of course, again, Lethal Shadows not only can print out STL files for you, but they have their own line of brushes. They have their own line of miniature holders. Their own line of dice. Some very, very artistic dice for sure. Kago, I'm glad that you're able to share. You shared your links a little bit earlier, right? I thought I saw that there. It's just so important for everybody to, again, kind of share the Twitch audience there. A very welcome change from very welcome change there from YouTube for sure. Now, well, Bitron, sorry that that does seem to every so often just it's like it just disappears, and there's it's almost no rhyme or reason when that happens. Is there a Bill Robertson? There is. As we say goodnight to Sarge, we say hello to Bill Robertson. So, Bill, I know that you got some things that you can post in the chat. And hey, Sarge, if you wanted to post some of your links too, not sure if you had a chance to do that, speaking of which. So, Sarge, you have yourself a good night. Thanks so much for being here as always. Yeah, so that holographic display, that was the one that I saw. I think I saw the kind of the cart being pushed around, and there was somebody on the inside of it there poking their head out. So Emerald City Comic Con had almost half of those dice sell off. And again, those are very, I mean, if you're looking for some really nice, fancy, decorative dice, you'll be able to get those again from Lethal Shadows Gaming. So yeah, Bill, if you wanted to share some of your links, things that you've been working on in the chat there, of course, Bithron, I wasn't sure if you wanted to share your more recent, the small scale stuff, or if you wanted to go even back to the mechs, or even to your Lord of the Rings, or Flames of War. Let me see if I can catch a tiny bit of light right here. I think I've lightened up his eye about as much as I can right there. I don't know. Let me see if I can go a little lighter here. Well, let's throw this in with maybe a little bit of the Radiant Magenta too. I didn't initially wasn't gonna go quite as light as this, but I think around the eyes here might not be a bad idea. Well, Bill, I hope that things otherwise are going reasonably well there. Interesting. That doesn't show, now. See, it shows up there and here. It's also another place I was hoping to get some light there. So everybody, please check out the link there from Bitron. But well, at least glad that you've been able to get some decent fun pet pictures there. Those are always fun to have. Ooh, you know what? This needs to be a little lighter right along that top ridge there. Right here, like so. There we are. Oh, and the top edge of this tend to go here. Yeah. It's either that or we have to go darker. So also some Titanicus stuff. Is it a really big force, or is it just because I've never actually seen the Titanicus stuff enough to know what your basic size game is. Heck, I still have to paint those Aeronautica planes. That's right. And so a couple, and let me throw a little bit more light over here too. Like so. I'll lighten this up a bit more back here. We'll do the same on the other side. See, yeah, Bill, I haven't actually had a chance to paint one of those yet. I know that's It's a really popular thing because you get, well, you're painting Titans, but they're not quite 28 millimeter sized. A little bit easier to put together. Yeah, Bill, actually, I've got to see now what's out there as far as STL files. Because obviously we have the starter set stuff, but I would imagine there's all kinds of very interesting 3D printable our Aeronautica type files, just like Battlefleet Gothic. We throw a little bit more like, oh yeah, this eye over here. Get some of our lightest kind of orangey magenta here. Down there too. Not quite sure what search parameters to use there. Obviously, there's a code, right, that the sculptors will use so that they can have their stuff on either Colts 3D or My Mini Factory or whatever. There we go. That's much better now. I was just looking at that going, there's something missing there compared to what I was seeing over here. Let me see if I can throw some of that also along this. It's right above these crazy little gold things. I don't know if there's supposed to be some kind of size or whatever those are. Now I'm going to come back, I think, with some of the dark here. Again, sharpen up a couple of edges. Here, why don't I just stick with the Van Dyke Brown and maybe the Egyptian Violet here. And again, take some of this light away. It just, there we go. Yeah, now that looks more like a highlight instead of some weird gigantic light area. And all it is, Van Dyke Brown, a little bit of the Egyptian Violet too. Alright, Laminus, you have yourself a good one. And again, sorry about the vehicle there. That is just, that's always just a massive pain, no matter how insignificant it might actually ultimately be. So hopefully no more dealing with stuff like that. And you have yourself a good one there, Laminus. Hopefully see you Thursday. Oh, yeah, let's reinforce a couple of edges here along. Oh yeah, this thing too. I got completely destroyed there. So back to some of just the yellow here. That's Indian yellow. Maybe even mix a little bit of the green here. Because gold, yes, but with all of this blue around it and such, definitely needs to reflect some of that. Now, you know, I'm going to go back. Speaking of our green here, so that's our seafoam green. Where's my some of the radiant turquoise? Is that going to be too light? Let me see here. This might be too light. No, actually it's not going to be. I'm worried that might be a little too light, but not really. Now these guys back here, see, there's nothing but dark there. We need some kind of reflected sea color here on these. Now let me see if I can use this as a bit of a micro blending brush here. Seems that way, yeah. Okay, there we go. Alright. Because looking at those, they were just dark shapes. There was no real value there at all. And this is not a highlight. This is just a mid-tone here. And again, it's got some green-ishness to it. Right, to reflect that sea color around it. So Lethal Shadows, I hope that you can recover as much as possible before PAX. But that's how conventions, right, they're just on top of each other. And again, everybody please check out Lethal Shadows Gaming. And again, the miniature holders, the brushes too. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 25,000 STL files as we get a couple more, yeah, a couple shreds of light on the top of those. We're pretty well set on this side. This thing over here, what are we gonna do on this side? We've lightened that side. You know what? Here, let me take this blue here. Maybe not necessarily going to make it any lighter, but I'm going to tint that more of a blue right there. Now I do think, let me see something here. Yeah, Lethal Shadows, there's never ending surprises with that, right? Because I know Armored Wolf is always, I mean, just bizarre things. And it's one thing for it to just, well, be a pain, but sometimes it's just borderline bizarre. Like, they must be sitting there in a room trying to make up weird things that they can do. Really, really weird things. You know what? This has to have more, more of our blue in it here. And that's got to work its way into here. Okay. Any more? Yeah. Some of that over here too. What about this? We've got some of our lighter violet there. And let me try to go a bit darker here. Wow, this is all the way back to our pre-glaze. This is all the way back to our pre-glaze from 3 hours, 20 some odd minutes ago. That is how we begin. Every miniature is with that pre-glaze. Taking those darker colors. Now wipe them away with the makeup sponges like so. And then come back in with the lighter colors that are, we dry brush over the top. You can see all the darker color that gets mixed in with that. Alright, thank you so much, Bench Guy. Again, I appreciate everything that you do for us here. Kathy does too, so thank you so much. Alright, I'm actually going to turn that thing off. That does, that's about the warmest tea I've drank in a long time. So that got a little too light there. We'll just take that and shut. There we go. Little tiny bit of dark right on the top there. So thank you so much, Bench Guy. A little bit of the ginger ale to see off. Bill, definitely understand that. I encourage the idea of sleeping. Yes, indeed. That has been something that the That's another reason it's been a little bit difficult the last few weeks, is I think not only getting over whatever it was that hit us, but also basically about 10 months worth of torment and not sleeping. I think that is also caught up too. So that's led to some really unusual sleep hours here. Go back to this. We haven't used this in a while. Because that's too much. There we go. That's too much light all in one area. We're going to cut down on some of that. And then we can come back with some lighter areas too. So thanks to everybody that gives us the follows, and thanks to everybody that does the lurking thing. Obviously that is very helpful to a Twitch streamer, because Twitch is not super generous in the way they count bodies that are watching. They are very much not generous that way. So when folks are generous and just continue to do the lurk thing, even if maybe they've headed off to sleep, we appreciate that. This was, I think, kind of like a secondary glaze that we did in some parts. Look at that. Bill gets a little gift from a bench guy. Thank you so much, bench guy. Again, appreciate that. I'm going to try and get a little bit of that dark right underneath the eye there. I think it needed it, maybe. Again, this is all the way back to our pre-glaze here. That's the Egyptian violet, some of the naphthol red. You know what? I think this too also. Throw a little bit more dark there to separate those. Okay, that's it. Need a little separation right there. Do we need any more dark up there? This is a little bit of a tangle right here. So is this. We either need to simplify it, or let me see if I can take some of my yellowy here. That's the Indian yellow. Because some of this is almost just ended up straight up white here. We need for that to have more color to it. Oh yeah, this definitely needs to be a little lighter there. So again, that's the Indian yellow, which is, even though it's a very thick color, it is incredibly translucent. Let's see what we can do here light-wise on that deck area. I think that just needs to be lighter right here. That is this piece underneath here. Couple of mist areas there. Let me see if we can't. One of our last bits here is again some of the dark green and our Van Dyke brown underneath these metal blades or whatever those are supposed to be. I don't really know. And I don't have the unit cards for the Trident Realms ships. Thanks so much, Armada, for posting a link to the Patreon page. And again, we will be posting the latest video, so that's the other thing I have to do is when we're done here, we'll get this thing uploaded. And this was lots of different elements here. So this is a part 2 of a 3-part series. So part 3, I'm actually going to be painting the miniature that goes with it. So some of these are 3D printed miniatures from the printing goes ever on, and then the basing bits from Make It Epic. And the first video showed how that was constructed. Then the second video shows the painting process, put in all the flock and the foliage on there and the decisions. And then of course the water effects doing the waterfalls. So on the Patreon page you're going to find lots and lots of not just basing videos but also some diorama videos. I think I've done about 20 videos on dioramas. At least a dozen terrain videos and then hundreds of basing videos. Especially since every army painting series, well, it starts with a basing video. This again, there's just too much, basically almost like a white there. At this point, what I'm just kind of going back in with here is this a middle tone to get a little more. It can't all just be that white, because white has no, there's no real value to that, no shape to that. But that's one of those things that, let's say you needed to get this done much faster, you quit an hour or two ago or something like that. Or you say, well, I want to have this snazzier, it's for a contest or whatever. Well, you just keep going, right? See, now it has actually been over 3.5 hours, and I might, let me see, not sure what JT is doing there. I know that AD is painting on her big, I think we might head over AD Creations way. Just, again, trying to conserve the voice since we still have to be thinking about that. I do want to say thanks to everybody for all the bits, the subs, the cheers, and the follows, and the raids, of course. Speaking of raids, thanks to Armored Wolf for doing all the moderation stuff. Thank you, Bithron, for... I know there was some clips to be done, so we appreciate that too. Thanks, Real Denethor. Yeah, we'll have... probably these two will be the next ones that we hit. We'll hit those both in a stream. That should be fun. And of course, we'll do the same water type of effect. I can't see quite as much of the water on those two as you can on this one, but hey. So thanks so much. I'm going to actually get the raid countdown started here because that takes a little while. But there it is again. This is from Mantic. Our newest Armada fleet, again, it's the Trident Realm fleet, and look, it's available in March. So thank you so much, Real Denethor, appreciate that. And here, let's head over to AD Creations. Thanks again, everybody.